This conference will now be recorded.
Let me just check with Kumar if he's joining, and then we'll start. Keshav, just a minute. So yeah, okay, Keshav, welcome. I think so. Priyanka is gone to the office today, and Kumar, let us see, and then see who can else join. And yeah, so how is it going, Keshav, till now? Were you able to take
Now,
this?
I'll tell you what, because earlier I didn't know what the fundamentals of PMP were,
Okay.
honestly, not a bit. So now at least now I know that what PMP is all about, and
Good.
whatever I learned, what I tried doing is, in my day-to-day work, I tried using some of these, probably the how to plan, execute, monitoring. Of course, there is no cost and all involved, but at least what I did is I at least started, because there's one project that I am doing, not a project, but it's some innovation drive that I am doing, and there are a lot of stakeholders and everything. So at least these fundamentals I started applying on it.
That's great, actually. That's the best form of study, and
Yeah.
it'll create interest rather than some only academic thing, which is a little boring. And in the exam, it is on the real application of concepts only. First of all, you have to understand the concepts in much detail. You have to have a deep understanding, and then they will check how well are you able to apply in the situation, like what process will you apply, how would you apply it. So that is what the questions are checking. So that's great. So even that initiative drive might be considered as a project. So it may sometimes it's ongoing kind of a thing, like in agile it's continuous improvement kind of a thing. Sometimes it's like that, but always management whenever they invest, they also want to see what is the ROI, or what is the benefit, business case. So basically they want to see, if we invest this much, how much are we getting? And generally, if it is more than what they're investing, if the benefit is more than what they're investing, they go for it. That's how the management works. They talk in numbers. Yeah, so it might be taken as a project. That's what I understand. Generally, every initiative, what because what happens otherwise, you lose track, and there's no measure. Okay, how do you measure, like how much benefit did we get? What is the improvement? Whatever initiative you're taking, say it's a green initiative also. Even a green initiative, it may not be exactly the monetary terms, but some benefit, or some brand recognition is there. Some social corporate projects which we do, say social responsibility projects which we take, that also is taken as a project fashion, like in
Yeah, but
PMI.
what happened is, I mean, I've done this PMP now after my CSR project. Otherwise, every year I run a CSR project in my
Oh,
account, and
great.
we deliver around 1,000 hours. But now next
Uh,
time when I'll start, if I'm here and if I do a project on CSR, I'll
Correct.
properly do it in the project management, with the fundamentals.
Yeah, actually that's how it should be. Okay, because otherwise we'll lose track. That's the problem. Okay, so in every initiative, generally I've seen, is taken in a project. And as I said, our CSR in PMI community also, we are like developing some schools and all nearby Pune city. Okay, and then in that drive also there's a proper plan, like what is that you are going to give to the school, adaptation, and then what are the equipments you're going to provide, like we provide. So every, like there's a plan, and then there's an execution, so we apply all these things in that also, in CSR also. So in fact NGOs and all, they work in a very planned fashion. So if you have
Yeah, yeah.
worked for them, yeah. So uh, like any work even in societies, what is the 1 year target we keep, and then we go for like every month whatever we're trying to achieve. So all these things are in the plan phase, so you can start applying it, and it will make more sense when you study this. Okay, so have you started reading the PMBOK? Is it making sense? Is
No,
it
honestly, I don't want to lie to you, Tanvi. The days are so hectic.
Mhm.
I hardly even get to sleep at home.
Okay.
But the moment I finished with this training, see, I can't be hasty. I can't do
Mhm.
a lot of things at one time. So what I've decided is once I finish this training, and
Mhm.
I read you will be having other trainings also.
Yes,
So
yes,
what I
yes.
thought is that one week I'll take to understand the entire PMBOK, or actually I liked head first. I'll finish
Okay,
that. I'll
great.
follow the, but yeah, my at least I want to give this certification whether I get. See, normally what happens is a person like me will think that yeah, my certification to Urdu, will I get a job? Because I was looking at some job opportunities, and they
Okay,
want very elaborate experience for PMP guys.
okay, okay.
So I said थोड़ा पहले पढ़ लेती हूँ. Let me
Mhm.
see how I at least take the curriculum, and
Mhm.
then definitely when I give the exam, there should be something around for benefit for me also. वरना
Understand.
यही, because PMP करके if I have to do work in concentrics only,
Mhm.
वो का मतलब नहीं बनेगा ना फिर मेरे को.
No, 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 no. So, first of all are welcome. All our batches are welcome. Okay, so we'll keep sharing. So we have everyday batch from 6:30 to 8:30. One is that, and then we have a new batch from Monday from 9 to 11 p.m. in the night. Okay, so that is again starting from Monday. So like we'll keep on sharing the status also. Whenever you feel you want to join a specific session, okay, join it. Okay, there's no hassle in that. Okay, we'll just join it. Okay,
Yes,
then that
but
is one thing. Hmm. Yeah, tell me.
job first, I have to just, I'll see what's coming for me, because concentrics mein there is no scope
Understand.
for
Mhm.
PMP. When I
And
go
second,
from,
yeah, Haji, I understand that, question. So one is I always keep saying, it's see, getting a job and performing there, unless you are getting more than 30-40% kind of hike, okay, you are
Hmm.
actually just doing ordinary thing. I would say that, okay, I'm little blunt. Even I would check myself every year that what is that I'm. So if I'm getting the average hike in the salary, I'm doing an average work only. Okay, so you have to always keep thinking what is my market value. So don't be on the mercy of the organization. I would always say that. And you see that, okay, only people who are thinking in this way only they grow. Inside the organization also they grow, and they can get a better job also. So always like your companies are stable, that's fine, but still what is your market value is always you have to keep checking that. Yeah. And we never will feel that we are in a mercy for a particular, like even I am working for so many companies like a freelancer or something like that, but I don't depend on a particular company, even though I'm getting a lot of things, but always keep adding my opportunities. Okay, so the PMP and all will give you a global kind of like it's an accreditation which is globally accepted. Like say if you want to like look at jobs in Gulf or some everywhere, anywhere, it will help you. Okay. And second thing is when you apply this concept, you understand now. So it's not only about the actual work you are doing. So maybe you are getting some new projects now, that's fine, or even a small initiative or some small enhancements, you can perfectly apply this. You have to always keep thinking. You have to have active eyes and ear for the things which are going around in the organization. Okay, for example, your peer project manager, okay, or your sponsor, okay, somebody who is also having so many other projects which are going on in the organization. Just try to talk to them in the at the tea and all. Okay, so the experiences I share are more of first hand, from my experience. But I always keep checking how are they doing. For example, safe agile transformations, like so many companies are doing, and whenever we are with friends and all, we keep on asking them, how are you applying this? Okay, and did you try this, and what is the result? What is your view? So it's the experience when you speak out for an interview. Okay, you have to not only show your experience, but that see, one is the first hand experience, that is always good, but you can observe in the organization what is happening. So there can be like hundreds of projects in the company you're working for. Just try to talk to them, how are you applying it? Okay, how, like what is the planning, how much dedicated planning are you doing, how much is this traditional methods working, or how do you use agile? So, or even this, okay, I would say 50% of your first hand experience and 50% of what you can discuss and from your connections in your organization, that also helps in the interview.
Sure,
Because
I
you
mean
might
that.
not be, yeah, you might
No.
not be able to do a lot of things, right? So because you get stuck in a project and 1 year you're dedicated to that project itself, but in the 1 year your organization might be doing hundreds of projects. Yeah. Yeah, so you should always keep having like have a dinner or plan dinners with your who feel who are like your project management community. So form a project management community of like official group or unofficial group, try to study these things, okay? And yeah.
Tell me, there is no project management. There is capability, but
Mhm.
project management, jitna I have seen is ek to the ones who run the accounts. They you can call them project managers. Two,
Mhm.
transitioning people who do, they are project managers. Otherwise,
Mhm.
there is no project manager scope like probably what Kumar is doing or what you know
Priyanka is doing.
doing. Yeah, there is nothing like this in my organization. In
So
fact,
it's
I'm
more about support.
surprised. I asked one of the leaders. I said,
Mhm.
"What is the scope of PMP?" And he said, "बकवास है, कुछ मत कर, मैं बताता हूँ तेरे को." मैंने बोला है, मतलब ये तो ऐसे demotivating है ना. They don't see because they don't know these things.
Mhm. Right.
You know, they only
Understand.
understand an MBA. I'll be under.
Understand.
But जो MBA करता है ना, वो भी बोलेगा कि you don't need an MBA right now.
Exactly, and if you just study से XLR का आप syllabus लेके देखिए, it is not much different. I did MBA after my PMP, so just एक कोई just आपको mails आता रहेगा, just kind take a syllabus of any MBA, okay, project
Hmm.
management related. You will see it is more or less this. So we are doing a small MBA only, like it's 80-90% I would say is similar.
With so much of experience, why would you want to get into a master's? एक certification काफी हो जाता है. हाँ,
Exactly, it's
I
more, yeah.
टेक्निकल कंसेप्ट जैसे मैंने आपको बताया था, स्क्रम, अजाइल. अब ये तो मुझे खुद बैठ के पढ़ के आई हैव टू मेक माय ओन फ्लो चार्ट टू अंडरस्टैंड कि हमारा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कहाँ पे है, क्या पे है,
Mhm.
तो अजाइल पे है, स्क्रम पे है, व्हाटएवर. एंड मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम अगर मैं लोगों को जाके पूछूंगी भी ना, दे विल
Mhm.
ऑल लुक एट कि उनको खुद को नहीं पता, बिकॉज एवरीबॉडी इज कमिंग, डू देयर वर्क एंड गोइंग.
Exactly. See, in support projects, if you ask, people will say the same thing. Okay, I'll just give you one example. One of my seniors, when I started my career 20 years back, so one of my seniors was at that time he was having around 8 to 10 years of experience, and he worked in the same company, and actually he was part of PM also, and he used to touch base and then ask me, shall I do PMP? I said, always, obviously, you're in a PMO role. Obviously, you need this PMP. So he said, no, usme to like you have to renew things and ye karna padega, investment hai. Now suddenly, what happened? This company downsized, and a lot of people were laid off. He was one of them. And then like 6 months, 1 year, he was totally into panic because he had no other
Mm.
job and his salary was quite good in that company. But yeah, company, because of some reasons, it was a very stable company. But yeah, now they have downsized and now he's struggling. So we see, again, I'm not telling you to always expect bad things, but you have to manage. Okay, so that's what project management is. That we will see what is the risk we have, and then we'll plan it. Okay, so I would say anybody who has 3 years experience in from a project management perspective, he should not miss PMP. He should do PMP even if he's going for agile. Okay, he should do PMP. Okay, this is a foundation. See, agile, what happens is few things you can take a very good practices, but it's obviously you should, this is a very good platform to
Yep.
set, and then you can specialize. So go for it. I will tell you, my even my family told me how much you're investing in this, and I have invested what more than 10 lakhs now on this PMI. So I've done these 5 6 certifications in PMI, and I've done a lot. Like I keep doing a lot of seminars and attending seminars in India, outside. So I keep doing that. But if you ask me, I've earned more than that. So every till now, people say, okay, why are you doing investing so much? But I know I am. It's a business case. See, you have to. If you invest 10 lakhs, you may get 20 lakhs. But if you don't invest anything, you may not get anything, and that is high risk.
Mm.
So always any initiative will be like that. Okay, unless you really, as you looking out, it's not only the credential. That's what I keep saying. It's not only the credential we are looking at here. It's the concept, is the experience, and it's the knowledge which we gain and apply, and the result would be the newer jobs. Okay, higher responsibilities in your organization. It will help. Okay, definitely. I would say, I'm not selling now. Okay, this is not sales
No, no,
pitch.
I
Yeah.
understand what you're saying, but see, I mean, working and then studying, you are intellectual, I am not. Okay, I may. So there's a difference. If you like, for example, the some people nowadays it is expected, Tanvir, you should know everything. So I'll give you an example. You
Mhm.
sit in an automation meeting, okay?
Right.
There
Right.
people will know only three, four things, if
Right.
in jargon terminology, okay?
Mhm. Mhm.
And they will only talk that कि ये बीबी से ये करना चाहिए, वहां से ये लिंक करना चाहिए. अब a person like me who's not so technically equipped, not
Mhm.
because I don't understand.
Mhm.
I always tell everybody I've been a trainer. If I can train people, I can learn anything. It is just that nowadays you are expected to know everything.
Yeah, understand
सब
understand
कुछ पता होना चाहिए आपको. मतलब आप बैठोगे मीटिंग में, they will talk about something which is happening in Los Angeles.
Hmm.
Now either you have to be extremely intellectual to understand, and see, it's a different for person like me. You have to
Mhm.
manage house, you have to manage work, you have to manage so many things.
Mhm.
Not an excuse, but you can't be doing everything every day.
Correct, correct. Yeah,
Anyways.
understand. So that it's the same challenge. Like 2 years back, I was into an organization where I was lead. I was more expected to be like purely technical. So project management, other people were there, specialized for project management. I was more for technical inputs, and every like 6 months we used to change the technology. I worked on Salesforce. I have so it was vendor management. It was coming out with approaches and what is the best. Again, what is the platform? That thing. So again, we have to check all the platforms. Again, make a case study. What is best? What is the best platform to use? And then we decided to go for Salesforce. And then how to interview people on Salesforce, recruit people. So so even 2 years, I'm just talking about 1.5 to 2 years back. So I was into a role where pure technical. Okay, so project management was not expected by me, but I could see what mistakes they are doing and see again. So what you have to do is, okay, at a very high level. So, for example, in knowledge areas also, when we talk about quality now, we will not be a quality expert, but we have to know the some jargons about that. Okay, so whenever some quality person speaks, we should understand what they are speaking. So the tools and all which we'll see now, we are not specialists. Okay, and we cannot be specialists at all. And I tell you, the technology will keep changing. I like every day I was working on like 3 4 technologies every day. Okay, and it was
Mm.
like totally overwhelming. So
I
and
understand.
Yeah, and the youngsters have more upper hand on that. So we would, I would say, we should use our experience. This is a little difficult for them to do. Okay, so if you want to compete in the market today, technology would be 20-30%, I would say. So just browse LinkedIn, and there's so many people like Coursera, and you have um, uh, so many platforms now which is giving very cheaper training. So what you can do is just online, just book one, okay, and then and browse that just to understand the terminology. But 20-30% more than that. You have to specialize in this. So project management, as I said, if you are good at the concepts, then at a very big large projects, this will really need a project manager who can understand this. And it should not get overwhelmed by the technical things. Okay, so maybe there are some people, they make it a little exaggerated, and we don't need to understand. So I worked as a technical person for more than 12 years. So I was a product development guy, and I know each and every bit. But at a point, you have to stop it, because if you run behind technology today, you don't need to know coding. And the other guys also, maximum people, they don't know anything, so they just know the jargons, okay? And then they just see, just pull the data from here, use a API, do this, do that. But if you ask them in deep, okay, I can ask questions where I can crack them, whether they know it or not. So don't get overwhelmed by this. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll specialize in this. So that's what I would say. And even in operations and all, okay, you are an expert now. So I think so one thing you can add in to your armor is project management, and get the certification. That's the first milestone we want to achieve. Maybe in the next 45 days, 45 days, you can just plan maybe 60 days. That's okay. So now, how do you do it from my again perspective? If I suggest you to study, how would I study is, say for example, today I'm going to discuss something about cost and the cost baseline. Okay, so this is chapter number um,
Mm.
chapter number 7.1, okay, and process number 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, something like this, right? So as soon as I do this, okay, before leaving your seat in the discussion today, okay, just put 15-20 minutes to just revise this three things, okay, maybe in the PMP. So
Mm.
so narrator got started. Just close this. So just next 15 minutes. Close this. Yeah. So the next 15 minutes you have to go and just browse this, okay, Pimbok or Head First, whatever you feel comfortable. So just go and the next 15-20 minutes just browse this. Okay, you will be able to make a lot of sense. Okay, so say for example 7.1. So I go to 7.1. Okay, put 5-10 minutes there. Okay, 5-10 minutes. That's the time box you have to keep. Okay, don't try to understand everything in the first. So is it making sense what we studied now? Okay, so everyone I'm suggesting the same thing, because of our experience we'll be able to make out what is happening. Okay, so for example 7.1 today I discussed. Okay, so just go to this 7.1, understand what are the inputs, tools and techniques and output. A little bit of brief is given at the start of this process, every process. Just read it, and maybe 15 minutes is enough. Okay, that's it. So I would say, now don't try to see that, okay, after 2 weeks I will study the whole PMBOK, after 2 weeks I will study the whole head first. That generally doesn't happen. Okay, and the more value you get is immediately if you see this. Okay, so this process, you will have some questions. Okay, the second time you read the same thing, that some questions get answered. You keep thinking on that, so you need your brain has some time to think about it, to process this, and to raise any questions in the next session. So you need some time to absorb this content. It is not, it cannot do done by it cannot be done by brute force. Just like 8 days I sit and study. That would be done maybe at the towards again after the second revision, third revision we'll do it. Okay, but now just follow this. Okay, so let's start with cost chapter today. Okay, and we have a recording. I think so. Others we can share. Priyanka is having some work in the office, as I said, and Kumar, I don't know where he's stuck, so he's not paying me. So maybe he'll join later. No problem. Okay. Yeah. So if you talk about cost management, so even Pimbok now I don't know how much you have read now. Okay. With our discussion, just try to read the Pimbok today. This chapter or whatever we're talking, that only, right? So just to make you more comfortable, I am taking Pimbok today. Otherwise, I don't take it. Okay. I'll go with my slides. Okay. So now
No, you go
let
with
us.
your slides only, Tanvi. Don't go with Pimbok. I'll
No, no.
manage with the Pimbok
I want to
because it's
break
quite
that ice. I want to break that ice, that make you comfortable. So it is so
your
easy.
slides are more easier to understand.
Okay, okay. So let's see that. Okay, let's see that. We'll again revise it. No problem. Okay. So basically, see. when we talk about cost management, so it's not only I'm reading the PMBOK. Okay, I can read the PMBOK in 8 hours if you give me. I will read the whole PMBOK because I have read it 200, 300 times. So that I'm not trying to do that. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make PMBOK friendly with you. Okay, that's my idea for today. But don't worry. Okay. So when we say cost management, from a project management point of view, first of all, we need to understand what is the cost processes, okay, and what is the cost. Now what we have done till now is we have taken the scope. So let me just take you back to this. So what we have done now, so we know what is the work now, okay, how, so what is the scope, what is the scope of the work. And when we say scope, it is more about scope statement, WBS and WBS dictionary, right? So that's a scope baseline. So we have a verbose document which is telling me what is the work to be done. I have broken in this work into my deliverable oriented tree structure, the decomposed tree structure. It is giving me a visual representation of what is the work. And every component in this using code of accounts, that every code of account I'm using it in the WBS dictionary. I'm detailing out in the WBS dictionary. So this we did as scope baseline first. Yeah. So where did we do this? Okay, if I just give you my overview. So here, after initiating, now we are going for planning. Okay, in planning we started with project management plan, right? So we and project management plan we do it generally in 2 steps. If you can just understand, remember that. So one step is taking decisions at the project level. Like example, how do I approach this project? Is it a waterfall? Is it a agile or is it a hybrid? Something like that. And what is the change management? What is the configuration management? What is the life cycle of the project? These major things we will discuss. That is a point one, correct? When you say develop project management plan, the first point, first thing we do is we decide or take decisions for the project level, taking decisions at the project level, correct? So this is the first one. Yeah. And second is we start doing the subsidiary plans, correct? So we create how many plans? 9 plans in 9 subsidiary knowledge areas, and then we create 3 baselines. 3 baselines are scope, schedule, cost, correct? So all these again go and fit into the PM. So 9 knowledge area plans, where I write KA for knowledge area plus 3 baselines, correct? So this is what we did. Now again, so this was a project management plan. Maybe you can say in 2 steps. Okay, it can be more, but generally we do it in 2 steps. Okay, one is at the high level, and the second is we get it updated once we are done with the scope, schedule, cost. Now, so first basis what the whole work. Okay, so what is the work I need to do to complete the project? That's what I try to understand in scope management, correct? So I understood the scope, like the project is unique. Okay, I have to discuss with the customer, I have to discuss with stakeholders what is your work. Okay, so what is the expectation? So we collected the requirements. Okay, then we defined the scope, and then we created with the baseline using a WBS, correct? So this was the work we have identified what is the work to be done. Yeah, so this was all about scope management, creating a clear boundary with the customer. What is that is in scope, what is that which is out of scope, correct? Now we use this, and then what we did, we tried to decompose the work. So what we did is we tried to decompose the work, right? Here. So maybe again scope statement, WBS dictionary. So this was our scope. The yellow part is the scope. And then what we did, we decomposed this WBS. The last level was called work package. And again, work package we again divided into activities, right? So now decomposing further. Now we know what is the exact activities. We know what is the sequence of activities, and then we created a schedule also. So last time we created a schedule till the last time, right? And we created the dependencies, and finally we came up with a schedule. Now this is the exact schedule which we are coming up, right? Now after this, okay, now also I want to understand what is the cost or the budget of the project. Okay, so my cost management would be exactly identifying what is the cost of the project. Okay, and my cost management would be more focused to complete the project within the budget, right? So when I said schedule management was all about focusing on timely completion of the project. That means in schedule, like within the schedule I want to complete the project. Now this is more about completing the project within the budget. So in schedule was timely completion was more focused for schedule. Now this is within the budget I want to finish the project, right? So now to within the project I want to finish the project means what is the cost I need to exactly find out. Okay, how do I find out? So I want the project budget at this level, at the top level. Okay, so what is the total budget of a project? Okay, we take a bottom up approach here. Okay, so we can have a lot of things, but what we first do is we create this, we check we estimate the cost at the activity level. How do you find this? So we find out for each activity what is the cost, right? And cost is dependent upon majority of the cost of the project is for what? for resources, right? So every activity we need resources, and that also we have identified in this in the discussion for schedule. Now I know this is the activity. Okay, these are the 1,000 activities. Every activity I know the resource. When we say resource, type of the resource and quantity of resource. For example, the cost of a resource junior Java developer and the senior Java developer will be different, right? So if I need 10 junior Java developers having cost of 5,000 per day, so that cost, and 5 Java developers who are senior Java developers. So type of resource and quantity of resource. Okay, that is the cost you have, right? Per day cost you have, and then that's how you multiply. Okay, so it's simple. So we have what we do first step is estimate the cost at the activity level. Okay, so at the activity level I will estimate the cost. Okay, now when I estimate, as we had done some reserve analysis for schedule duration, right? So when we did the schedule duration estimation, so what we did, we added a reserve. Okay, we added a reserve, contingency reserve. Okay, for example, my developer told me, okay, I can do this activity in 3 days, but considering some uncertainty, some risk, okay, I will add 1 day for that. Maybe I'll add half a day as a reserve, as a contingency of schedule, as a reserve of schedule. Okay, same way in estimation, what I do now is I estimate the cost of this activity, and also I keep a contingency reserve in terms of cost. In terms of cost, for example, say now I know that this cost is this activity has to be done by the junior Java developer, and he will take 3 days. So and the per day cost of the junior Java developer is 5,000. Okay, so 5,000 into 3 days is 15,000. But as a contingency reserve against the risk, what I do is I add some more amount to it. Maybe I add 5,000 to it. We have 10% or whatever. Like I add say 2,000 to it. Okay, and then that's my contingency reserve. So what I do, I keep on estimating the cost for each activity here, right? And then I aggregate it up, or I roll it up to my work package level, correct? So I know this work package actually has is divided into multiple activities, right? So I sum up that activity so that I know the cost at the work package level. Okay, now who is doing this estimate cost? This estimation of cost is done by the technical resource, because it's at the team lead level, right? So the team lead will maybe estimate it. He has put these reserves, okay, as per his knowledge, uncertainties at the activity level. Now here work package is on whose level? Project manager's level. So when I aggregate all the costs, okay, I also at the work package level I may add some more contingency reserve, because at the work package level, maybe because of the integration of the activities and all, I will add some more reserve to it at my level, as a project manager level, right? And what we do now, we keep on again aggregating the lower levels of work up to this level. Okay, that's called the project budget. That's called the project budget. Okay, so what have we done? We have done estimate costs, okay, at the activity level, find out all the each activity cost, okay, and then aggregate it upper and upper. So we aggregate up to a work package level, we aggregate up to the control account level. So what was the above level? Control account level was also there. So control account level again here, right? Control account level at my boss's level, right? So this is my sponsor's level. So control account level. Maybe, yeah. So maybe the sponsor also adds one reserve at his place. Why everybody is adding so is this different reserve? Because he is now integrating all the work packages up to here, and then finally at the project level. That's called the budget of the project. Yeah, Kesha. Any question on this?
No.
You understood that? Yeah. So now when we say budget, now this is at the organization level. When we say at the organization level, the organization has to be ready with this kind of budget, correct? Organization level, organization has to be ready with the budget to complete the work, correct? Now at our level, we know some, because we have that expertise and we know some uncertainty. Like for example, here the developer, when the team lead estimates the work, he knows that there is uncertainty for unplanned leaves. Okay, here he knows, so that's why he has added some reserve here. I also, as a project manager, know at the work package level that what this is the reserve I need. Okay, so I have also added here. Maybe control account level, my sponsor also knows that this can be a uncertainty, this can be a risk, so that's why we can add some reserve. But at the organization level, okay, they will think about. So now they have to do the project in any situation, even if the market changes. Okay, even if the currency fluctuates, still they have to do the project. That means, for example, now this project is done in US dollars, okay, or in UK pounds, okay. So for example, now Brexit is happening, okay, so many things have happened. The currency can fluctuate. Now, can we say in the market, okay, that because the currency fluctuation happened, okay, now we cannot do the project? We cannot say that. Can you say that? We cannot say that, right? So we have to be, as an organization, we have to be ready with all the things. So we have to be ready for all the situations. So now this is at the management level. they want to have a reserve. Okay, they want to have a reserve. So here we had a we know what are the risks. So we call it as known risk. Okay, for the known risk, what did I add? I had contingency reserve. Correct. So in terms of budget, in terms of cost now, and in previous sessions, what we did, we had a reserve in terms of schedule. So now I add a contingency reserve here for the known risks. Okay, so I know that okay, this is the attrition, because of the attrition I may need some extra buffer, okay, or an extra reserve. For unplanned leaves, I need to have some extra reserve. Okay, all these things are ready here. Okay, we keep this um, as a contingency reserve. Okay, but at the organization level, this organization has to also consider some things which is unknown. The risks are also unknown. Yeah, so risks are also unknown. Okay, for example, you may say the customer might add something and which you cannot prove that it is a change. Okay, that can happen, right? Currency can fluctuate, market can fluctuate, government regulations can change. Government might say, as I said, have you heard of that? Now the public share in the company has changed. Okay, and because of that, like TCS the share value of TCS gone down, right? So again, this is a risk for them. So now they have to still perform in the market, right? So still have to do the projects. Now there are so many unknown reserves. Okay, so for that, the management they have that kind of experience and they keep a management reserve. So we know so we know what are the uncertainties here. So known uncertainties, against that we have kept a contingency reserve. Okay, at different levels, at the activity level, at the work package level, at the control account level. But the management has to also keep into consideration something which are very unknown. Okay, and it can be anything. So for example, the 10% of the baseline of the 10% of whatever you come up. So for example, you are saying this 10 crore rupees is what I want to execute this project. They will again keep 2 crores as a management reserve to do the project. Now tell me, is there 2 crores available for you to execute the project? Now you actually had a kind of 9 crores, okay, or you say you have 8 crores as a base cost. So what you did, you estimate the activities at the activity level, estimate the cost, aggregate up at the work package level, again aggregate control account level, and when you aggregate total, it came to 8 crore cost. Okay, so here it is also including some reserves. Okay, so for example, here at the activity level there was a 50 lakh reserve which was required. Okay, and at the control account work package level again 50 lakhs. Okay, and again at the control account level again your sponsor has added 1 crore as a reserve. Okay, so now what we have is we have a base cost plus the reserves, okay, at all the levels. So it will be around 9.5 crores now, right? It will be around 9.5 crores. That's the cost baseline. Now this cost baseline is available for the project manager to execute, right? So he can use this generally without any approval, right? So he knows that okay, why this contingency is against what risk. So for example, if person goes on leave, if a person attrition is happening, then he can use the cost or he can use the buffer or the reserve which has kept for that event, right? Now this is which is within your control. Again, against the PM. So this is under the PM's control, right? But the 2 crores which the management has kept, okay, as a management reserve, is it under project manager's control?
No.
It's not, right? So it's for the management to handle for this kind of things. Management for to handle like the as I said, market fluctuations or the currency change or whatever, right? So it's not part of a baseline. So this is your baseline or this is your target. This is your target which you have to complete the project, right? So now if I see this figure, okay, now is it making sense? Yes, if I'll just zoom this. So if you see this figure now, yeah. So what have we done? Let's come again. That I estimate the cost at the activity level, correct? This one. Okay, and then I added my reserves at the activity level. The team lead added his reserves. Then we came to the work package. So now we summed up all the activities. So this was activity 1, 2, all the activities estimates. We summed up all with the reserves, and then we came up with the work package estimates. Now again, I also added some reserves here, correct? As a project manager, we came up with the control account level. We came out of the control account level, correct? We came up with the control account level, and now what has happened? Now this is your cost baseline. Okay, so control account, maybe sponsor adds some reserve or not. Okay, generally not. That's why we say now all the things together, like activities summed up to work package summed up to control account, and control accounts all summed up, all the control accounts summed up, okay, will become as a cost baseline. So this is the target or this is the baseline which is approved, and you have to manage the project within this baseline. Correct? When we talk about when we want to add, so now what happens? The management adds a management reserve, okay, and then that's called the budget. Okay. So now if I talk about cost baseline plus the management reserve is equal to project budget. So now this is the organization readiness for the to execute the project. You want to get it? Look at it. Now, did you ask anybody? Has the project in your organization do we have a management reserve? Okay, generally they will not expose it to you, but you should have it. You cannot say that okay, this has happened, that's why we are not able to do the project. Okay, you have to manage all that. That's why we are professionals. We are in the market because we are able to do we are able to cater to any situation, right? So this is what the organization does it. Okay, maybe they don't expose it, but try to find out how they are doing it. Okay. Now this is so for example, this is now 12 crores in our example, right? The customer is giving you 15 crores. Okay, so generally there's a profit. There's a profit margin here, like 3 crores, and 12 crores is including more call. That's what your profit is. That's why you are able to sustain in the market, right? So that's how you pay the salaries of your senior management and all, right? So this is your profit, right? And if you ask me net profit, then it's after the salaries and all, but you have to have a profit. So whenever you pitch to the customer, it is this price. So this is price and this is cost. You get it? I told you the buyer seller relationship. Do you remember that? So if you see that video, what I talked about is this is the price given by the customer, and this is our management's readiness. That's called project budget. But actually, project manager is up to here only. Okay, cost based. Does this figure make sense now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now let's again understand again the cost. Okay, and the plan cost. What do you do? The plan cost. Now the structure is same. Any plan, the structure is same. Okay. Any plan, the structure is same. So for example, we did plan scope, plan schedule, plan cost. Okay, now we are doing plan cost. Okay. So if I take about cost, so I've just put some points against each slide. For example, cost, we're talking about some points I have mentioned. You can use this as a checklist for your understanding, for have you covered all the things. Okay. It just came to my mind that we should have a checklist like this. Okay. And then just for example, have we covered all the things? Now when you say cost, so what is the cost? So basically, as I said, cost management is to complete the project within the established cost baseline. Now, how to establish the cost baseline, how to monitor the project, how to control the project within that baseline. Okay, and if any changes are there, how to manage that, all where it will come? It will come in cost management plan. It will come in the cost management plan. Correct? Now, as I said, the cost, which currency we want to use. For example, we did a project for a client based on Sweden. Okay, and his currency was different. Our currency is Indian rupees, and then we had to decide which currency we are going to transact. Okay, the transaction should happen, right? The money in which transaction should be which should be transact. Now, then finally there was a lot of discussion, and we had to take finance guys into consideration, and then they said, okay, well, let's go with the standard currency of US dollars. Okay, that we feel was able for both. Now, where will you decide this? All this decision is taken in the cost management plan. All this decision is taken cost management. So you have to do this in the project. Now, is there any standard way? No, there is no standard way. If it's an Indian client, you are also Indian service provider. Obviously, Indian rupees would make sense for you. But if it's a US client, okay, is USD fine for you? Okay. And now the dollar currency fluctuation is a risk for us, right? Sometimes it is an opportunity. Sometimes you make more money, and sometimes you lose also. Like IBM has done so many. Like they get more money. TCS gets more money when the rupee falls down. They get more money. So that's an opportunity. So it's an uncertainty, right? It may go down also. It may go up also. So if the rupee goes up, actually they make a loss actually. So that thing is there. Okay. So which is the currency you want to transact in? Okay. How detailed you want to transact? I mean, how detailed would your cost estimations would be? How detailed would your cost estimations would be? Cost estimates will be. Yeah. So that means if you are doing it in rupees, would you go to say to paisa? Maybe not. Okay. Maybe you'll round up to 100 rupees or 1000 rupees or whatever. Right? Yeah. So what is that detail? Okay. Again, any question which is telling you the people are confused. The question is saying that there are some stakeholders and they are confused. We should estimate the details of the estimate should be up to this level, maybe up to paisa level in Indian currency, Indian rupees. And where will you find this information? How to solve this? Okay, confusion. So the answer will be go to cost management plan. Go to cost management plan, because that cost management plan will have all the details. Yeah, that's how you have to think about it. Yeah. Okay. So all these things. Okay. So when we say now, now tell me if I want to do plan cost. Okay. I want to decide how to go about my project. Okay. How do I, which currency would I select? How would I do the process of estimation, cost estimation, and then the budgeting? That's aggregating of all that thing. How would I go for it? Okay. I will come up with a cost management plan. Okay. Now who will give you a context for how to do this? I'm asking for ITTOs of plan cost management. Okay. When you say plan cost management, again, first of all, a simple thumb rule is all plans, charter, PMP, EFOP. Okay, that's the, if you can just remember, that's fine. But from a logical point of view, charter will tell us what is the project scope upon. Okay, is it a 100 crore project? Is it a 500 crore project? Okay, then the things might be a little different, right? And if it's a very small project, for example, you do projects in say under 1 crore also. So I've done project for 20 lakhs also, for 50 lakhs also, small projects. Okay, even then, what is that project all about? A charter will tell you. Now, in a short, if you want to understand when you are planning, okay, so charter will tell you all these things, okay. And then the PMP. So PMP is a framework, and the first time when you take higher level decisions, now it will tell me. If we now tell me if the PMP is telling you that we do this project in a waterfall way, will your costing, the planning of cost will differ, the way you approach cost? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Exactly, because if you go agile, it's a different way you estimate cost. Okay, generally what in agile we do is we only restrict ourselves to the sprint or the first iteration. That means if I say for example if I'm going waterfall, okay, and say for example I'm doing this project in 3 phases. Okay, so we understand from PMP what we understand, how many phases we have. Okay, and so for example we are going with a waterfall way. Okay, why we have selected waterfall? Because this project is quite stable. Okay, the requirements are not very dynamic and requirements are not very dynamically changing. So obviously waterfall makes a more sense. Okay. Now, as I said, if I do waterfall, how do I do the costing? Okay, so I'll try to scope the whole phase. So whole phase. Okay. Now, right. So I'll try to find out what is the scope of the whole phase. Okay, and correspondingly, I'll find the schedule. Yeah, find the schedule, and then I'll find the cost. So remember, first of all, this cost is a derivative of scope and schedule. Cost is a derivative of scope and schedule. Can you do the costing without knowing the scope and the schedule?
No.
You cannot, right? So I would give an example. Why schedule?
Because that schedule will give you the time, because time is also a cost. So that's why it's important that your schedule is in place. So let's say whether it's for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, that 4 months, 5 months is divided in a schedule. Depending on the schedule, your cost. Like for example, will you be using the developer for 3 months or 4 months? You know,
Correct.
all this involves cost.
Yeah. So it's a time phase budget. So when we talk about cost, it's a time phase budget. First of all, that 12 crores will not be given to me in the first day. So as the time goes, okay, that cost will be given to me, right? For example, I have to tell them that the budget would be what is my funding requirement. For example, even if it's 12 crores, they'll ask me what is the first quarter you need, how much money you need. Okay, how I have done that? Basis so this was my project. Okay, I said first quarter is basically say planning. I would need a little amount. So for example, I'm using 10 people for my design and planning, right? So for this first quarter, I may need a lesser amount. Okay, so maybe 2 crores would be enough for me. So I will say 2 crores is enough for me here. And then I go for executing first. Here in executing, we know this is the highest. Where is the highest cost required? Which process group? Initiating, planning, executing is the highest. Okay, executing is the highest. So in executing, so here still maybe we are planning. Okay, then if we are executing, this will be highest. So for 2 crores, 1 crore again in the next quarter. Okay, this is one again crore. So totally we have 3 crores. And here, okay, at this point, okay, after say second or third quarter, I may require more money. So we will come up with funding requirements in the budget. We'll come up with funding requirements in the budget. Okay, and then total, how much will be the total? Total will be my baseline, correct? So if I say the total amount, including all the reserves, the activity level aggregate to the work package level aggregate to the control account and to the total project is called budgeted completion. Okay, or cost baseline. For today, understand this is a cost baseline. Management will add management reserve and then they will come with project budget. So this is a life cycle, or this is your periods in the project, correct? So this is the first quarter and this is the second quarter, something like that. Yeah. So this is how you come up with the time phase budget. It's always a time phase budget. Yeah, and the schedule why it is important again is because if example if I need these resources at the particular time, okay, that time, okay, the cost might differ. Okay, when first of all it's basically the time phase budget. Yeah, every quarter I need some money. Okay, maybe at 6 months I need some money. So this is the funding requirement based on the schedule. That's one thing. And also what can happen is, for example, now say for example I want a resource, okay, at a particular time. The cost might be different for different times. For example, if I want to have a mason, okay, in rainy season, okay, in some cities the masons cost will differ based on the climate we have, or based on the seasons we have having. Why? Because they don't generally they have their own lands and they are doing farming, okay, at a particular time. Now if you ask the same mason at different time, he will have a different cost. Could you understand? So that also is
Yeah.
there. So that's why schedule is also required. So we will always remember that cost is a derivative from scope and schedule. Scope is a derivative from scope and schedule. Now, generally our projects, okay, our projects are like IT projects I'm talking about, are self-funded. Who is funding you? If you want any the software, if you want to get resources, who is funding you? Your management is funding you, right? Self-funded, right? But in infrastructure projects like your highway project, or if you're constructing a highway, then it is not self-funded. Generally, you take a debt, or you take a like you share equity, okay. That's how you get funding. So how you get funding also is part of cost management. Okay, so that has to be analyzed, which funding option you'll go for. Okay, whether you'll go with self funding like in IT, okay, or funding with equity, or funding with debt. This again analysis you have to do and then decide for that cases. Okay, IT we don't have this headache, but yeah, for other again this is an important thing. If they don't get debt, okay, then if they don't get the money, they will not be able to start the project. Again, that dependency is there. Yeah, and what we need to also think about is make versus buy versus lease. Okay, make versus buy versus lease. That also analysis will do. Okay, whenever we talk about resources, for example, we need a team resource. Okay, we need a team. Okay, now whether to recruit them, if you recruit them, whether to recruit it on permanent basis or contract basis. Why it will make a difference? Again, it will make a difference. So contract resources will have different perks, and permanent resources will have different perks. Like permanent resources, the organization is spending on insurance, spending on so many leaves and all. Okay, contract research generally not right. So, but yeah, so you have to, from a cost point of view, does it make a difference? Yes, it makes a difference, right? So the way we are going to acquire the resource. Yeah. Now tell me, I'll ask you a simple question. For my construction site, in my project, I want to, I need an office. Okay, I'm constructing office for my construction site. Okay, which will be used for my project. Now, should this be a part of my project budget, or will the organization fund me from a corporate account?
No, it will be part of your project budget, because one, it is you're using it.
Correct.
Two, it is an additional cost, so the organization will not give.
Additional cost of organization, and it is not used across the organization. For example, if the travel, okay, is a common facility given by the organization, okay, or a subsidy in canteen is given by the organization, which is across the projects, correct? That goes into corporate account, correct? But something specific you want, for example, you in the at night, okay, 3 o'clock in the night. So because your project requires that special cabs for that, it will go to your project. So again, the guideline is it specific to your project? Okay, the organization will always keep this thing in mind. Is it specific to your project? Any training required only for your project, obviously they will map it to your project itself. So now that it should all it included in that cost baseline. Are you getting it? Any rewards? There's an organization reward policy, right? Now this organization reward policy, if it is at the organization level, corporate level, which is across projects, it will be mapped to your corporate account, not for your project. But if you want to give special awards to your project people, then it will be mapped to your project, correct? So it can be anything. It can be a software which is required. For example, my customer wanted Skype, okay, which we are not using, so I had to get Skype because of my project. So they mapped it this cost also to my project. Now, what is this policies? Okay, what is this trend in your organization has to be taken into consideration? Yeah. So, is it a very clearly mentioned, or you have to keep asking it? Okay. So, for example, again on site. Okay. Even the on site you have to? Is it specifically for your project, the hotels and all, or is it somewhere corporate? This is there. Okay, or corporate guest house is there. So every part which is used in the project, first of all, you have to take into consideration, and whether it's a project cost or it's a corporate cost, that also you need to understand.
So I'll share this example with you. So one of the accounts that I was working with was
Right,
the first healthcare account here in Pune. So
right,
they had no clue about how to manage healthcare in Pune. Okay, they had
okay,
done it in Gurgaon. Plus the process, the project executive also that they aligned, who
Mhm.
did the transitioning, and the person who was the DP or the leader, service delivery leader, also was non-healthcare background.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
People were non-healthcare background. So when the entire thing started, and that project flopped also, let me tell you. So
Acha.
what happened was, amidst everything they started. Okay, now that you are explaining these things, and this came to my mind, there
Mm-hmm.
was one thing they missed. So the client said that when you will
Mm-hmm.
auditing will
Mm-hmm.
not happen on normal Excel. It
Okay,
will happen on MS Access.
okay,
Now they
right,
had not built that cost into their transitioning cost that MS, because MS Access licensing purchase होनी पड़ती है. You don't
right.
get it just like that. It
True,
is
true.
a
Yeah,
pure business case thing. Yeah, when you get licenses and when you get these softwares, you should have somebody who should know also what is happening around it.
correct, correct. So see, these all
So
things only
I
now.
remember, uh,
Exactly. So if you don't build this into your, you'll not make profits. Right? Obviously, you'll go into losses, and that's why these smaller companies, they're not able to sustain. Okay. So it's, again, there are two
mm,
things to it. One is the salespeople or the organization is trying to get into a newer market. That time, sometimes you start in the loss also. But as a project executor, you should know what is the cost of your project, what is the estimate, what is the budget of the project. Correct? Yeah. For example, one of my friends was interviewed now for a company who is doing smart city projects. So they said that you have to come up with a 20-30% profit. That's how the job is there today. For example, CEO is given a target that okay, you have to work on 30% operating margin. That means whatever whatever you do from the customer. For example, customer is paying you 100 crores, we earned 100 crores, you have to do the work in 70 crores. That's the 30% profit margin we want to create, right? Now this guy was given the target that okay, you have to come up with 20% margin in this project. So he said, do you know what is to be done? So when he asked 2-3 questions, he understood that okay, they absolutely don't have any idea what is to be done, because smart city in itself is a kind of a, it's a, it's a riddle. Okay, so nobody knows
mm,
what is happening. It's a fad. Okay, and see, when you have to do it in a project fashion, you absolutely want all these answers. Yeah. And then he didn't take up the job, and I said, yeah, it was good. After 6 months he would land up in trouble, right? Because now you don't know the scope. Okay, and then how would you come with the schedule, and how would you come with the cost? And then now you don't know the scope, and then customers fixed up the price. Okay, that's it. The government has fixed up the price. This is what the budget is, and then the scope, whether the scope is flexible or not, even that is not clear. Okay, and then how would you create the 20% margin? Okay, I cannot commit on the 20% margin, right? So I have to know. So whenever like I am doing business, for example, I'm getting an opportunity in USA. Okay, so for example, for some assignment, now we have to take into consideration all the visa costs. I can go and stay there right from when I start. Okay, so all the costs should be lesser than the amount I'm able to get as a price, right? If it is not, maybe today I don't want to go for it. So we keep a margin. Say for example, every assignment we take, we have a minimum margin target. Okay, that was what we need to achieve. So for example, 2 lakhs is our margin. That's what without if it goes beyond below 2 lakh, we don't take that work. So we have to be very clear what is the cost. Okay, so this is what we are saying here, and able to get it. So see again, even if you start analyzing projects in your organization, you'll understand so many blunders are happening. So many blunders are happening, and people are missing the basics. This is a very underserved community, if you ask me, and that's why. Because there's no structured way. Okay, I read the Pimba. I before reading the Pimba, I read hundreds of books. Okay, management. Everybody had a different view. Okay, every book used to give me a different kind of angle. But when I read Pimbok, I found that was just so easy. Okay, they are so structured and they're so simple to understand. Just 5 finishes, 500 pages, and most of the projects will use this only. Okay, if you have done that work, okay, you understand Pimbok is so easy to understand. Okay, but yeah. So see, when you now start analyzing, you'll find out that so many mistakes are there, and that's why we say that we have to know this. Okay, and we have to understand something which is it's a very which is successful around the world. All these practices, when we talk about these practices, most of the time it is successful. That's why we have included in the Pimba. Yeah, yeah. So now again, as I said, a special reward. Okay, I want to reward my team to for a lunch. Now again, team lunch. Sometimes organization have this. luncheons, okay, and then they fund that, okay, that every quarter you have this, say 5,000 rupees per person, and that's how they fund. Every quarter you can go and have lunch. Is it from there or is it from my project? That's all again. So again, some companies, what they say, even if you ask for a Crocin tablet, they will ask you which project you're working for. So sometimes it is so corporate account, they just minimize that corporate account because they don't, otherwise everything starts going in the corporate account. So could you get it? So they want to really map everybody. Every person is working on the project and he is billable. So we say, right? So for example, companies, many companies I can name who are completely billable. Okay, no person is sitting for support. Like customer is paying for them. That's how we can make more profit. But we have to really find out what is that amount we are going to get. Okay, and whenever we acquire a resource, a team resource, a human resource also, so cost of procurement, cost of if I'm taking equipment also, for example, now that equipment, is it only my project or is it across projects after the project also, after my project ends, still the equipment will be used? If that is the case, I would treat it differently. I would take 50% of the share of the cost which I'm getting the equipment. So I need to understand what is the cost coming to my project and what is my work. Okay, if I'm able to establish a proper cost budget, okay, and able to finish the project within the budget, okay, I'm done. So from PMP they are getting 100 points. Now there are so many angles to it. Okay, so for example, some sales people will tell, okay, give the enhancement for free. Okay, I am faced this. Okay, I have faced this. My VP used to tell me, no, the customer is not happy now. Okay, give him some enhancements for free. He will get happy. So what I used to say, okay, you want to give free? Okay, this is the 100-man-day work. You can just approve this 100-man-day work, and then I will. For me, I have to execute that work, and I need resources and cost is applicable for my work. Okay. Now, how you want to pitch it to the customer, whether you want to take the money from the customer or from my own management, you want to take the hit, it's up to you. So whenever sales people tell you that, okay, no, you have to give it in less cost only. For my executing, whatever is the cost, I will pitch it up, okay, and I have to get that approval. I'll be able to get it. For example, it's this 15 crore project, okay, customer is paying 15 crore, and you know that even the execution cost is 17 crores. Now the sales people say, okay, now market mein nahi chalne wala hai, and then so many companies are there which are offering it less, but you know your resources, you know the cost, okay. You have to say that, okay, 17 crores I will need. You take that hit of 2 crores, okay. That is up to you. How do you sell it, okay. My execution cost is this much. Now this looks like a little blunt, and they say, okay, how the business, how will you do, okay. Now see, when we say we have done estimation, when we have done scheduling, we have done all these things. So by without saying it goes that we have done it as least cost as possible, correct? So we have seen that in crashing also. So we do, whenever we do a schedule, the schedule is considering everything, and we have tried everything to do it as fast as possible and the least cost as possible, which is better to my organization. For example, sometimes I can buy it, sometimes I can lease it, and sometimes I can create it also. For example, a software I need, okay, I like IT company, maybe I can create that software. Sometimes it's better to buy for me. So cost is one angle, and there are other things also. But from a cost perspective, I will consider all these things. Are you able to get it? So this is a
Yes.
little beyond PMBOK, but from my practical experience, we are all going to use this. Okay, and this is the situation where we get it. Okay, pre-sales people and the sales people, they are only focused on their incentives. Okay, they are not focused who is going to do the project, how will he be able to manage. They will sell it in some cost and come without knowing some details. So now the less information you have, okay, you should have a bigger margin, okay, or the range of estimate should be higher. Otherwise, you'll end up bleeding. Okay, and then we bleed and bleed, and the project manager is hold responsible. So the project manager,
Mm.
whenever the estimate is asked, you have to go beyond it. Okay, for example, I have developed a product called commission and incentive. Okay, mostly used for telecom industries. So you can configure any kind of a commission incentive. Like there are a lot of algorithms in that. Okay, range
Mm.
based, this based, performance based. I created that, and then we started implementing. The first project I understood is, okay, any telecom company, we cannot do it within 1 crore. Within 1 crore, so I understood that. So whenever we pitched that, and whenever pre-sales people came to me and asked, I always said, okay, below 1 crore, reject the project. So we rejected more than 10 projects, and we were in a smaller company, but yeah, we took that call because without that, now what happens is you enter into a contract or agreement. Generally, it's a legal agreement, right, with the customer. Now you've done 60-70%, you are stuck in that project, right? Even if you bleed, you have to continue in the market. You cannot put a bad name to your project. If you just pull out from the project, customer will ensure that you don't get more business then. Okay, so you have to be very careful in these things. So it is all, and the bigger the project, the more complex, again it becomes more and more difficult. Okay, so one is the business angle. Okay, that is what the sales people and the management has to take it. You are more responsible for whenever you say this project, okay, I can do this in this much cost, and I'll do this uh, project at this cost. That's it. Now, if you don't have much information, the ranges should be high. Okay, as we said, minus 25 to plus 75 at the start, and as we go in the as we progress in the project, it will be lesser. So we know this, right? So a cone of uncertainty like this, right? So if it's this is the start of the project and end of the project, yeah. At the start of the project, this cone is very high. So can you see this cone? The width of the cone is very high. Yeah. So it is minus 25 to plus 75. If I'm saying it is 10 crore, how much is it actually? What is the range? If I'm saying it's 10 crore, so it is 10 crore means 10 crore. It can be 17.5 crores also is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
You have to give this estimate to the customer. Yeah. So for your management, for your sales, you say this is what I can do this project in. Okay. Because if this is my estimate, okay, I feel 10 crores is okay, but you have to give this estimate. Okay. Lesser generally, lesser you can give the range, but generally it doesn't go lesser than what you expected. It generally goes more because whatever you consider, still something or the else can come in. Yeah. So so it will be how much? 7.5 to 17.5 crores. Could you get it? Yeah, it's like that. So now all these things scientifically you don't study generally. Okay, by experience you can get few things, but yeah. So going the PMP I feel is the easiest way to understand project management for me. Okay, then I understood that it's not my fault. Whenever we're bleeding, we used to feel that we are doing somewhere problem or what. So are we not able to execute the projects, and what is the problem? Our productivity is a problem, or our cost resource is high. Whatever, what is the problem? The problem was the estimation. Okay, sales people used to sell this in 5 crores. Okay, because they want to do business, fine. So even this is the case, what you have to do. So this is what you are going to do the project in. Okay, and that's what is your cost. See, already you have done all the things to optimize the resources. Okay, to get the best productivity, whatever things you have to do. That's without saying it goes that you have done all the things. Only then you come up with the estimate. Getting your point? From a practical angle, this is where we get stuck. Yeah, I've got so many projects we have bleeded. Okay, some, as I said, some projects we also started with a loss. For example, I started public safety projects in a company. Okay, and when I asked my MD, managing director, so we had pitched 50 lakhs. Okay, and then we actually the cost of execution only was 60 lakhs, somewhere like this. So my managing director said, okay, you will need 60 lakhs. Okay, do it in 60 lakhs. I have no problem. But this is our marketing strategy that okay, we want to do 5 kind of these projects. Okay, and then the sixth project will have a margin of profit there. Today I'm doing minus 10. So this is loss of 10 lakhs in this project. Execute and then still get a 10 lakhs from an organization point of view. But from an executing person point of view, this is what you feel 60 lakhs. Okay, you do it in 60 lakhs. They wanted to pitch it like that because in India, we have implemented all the public safety projects. Okay, like in Mumbai, you've seen that when you dial that helpline number. Okay, like in US it's 911. It's in the dial 100 thing. Okay, actually all maximum things we have implemented. I was part of a lot of projects of that kind. Okay, so we did this all mapping and all 20 years back. Then Uber and Ola came. We didn't get that idea that we could do such a good business in that. So we have done all the mapping for Mumbai, and then we used to have that systems where we can just call that 100, and then automatically you'll get to know who are the vehicles around, and then you can call the nearest vehicle. And so features were like that. Yeah. So we can, from a cost point, what I'm trying to say is our responsibility is to do the project in time and in budget. Right? So we have to establish the right budget and get it done. Correct. So first of all, what we do, we come up with a cost management plan. Okay, what is the cost management plan telling you? The cost management plan is giving you things like what will be the units of measure, or how detailed would you go for, okay, and what is the further. So all the further process will be guided by this plan, correct? Units of measure. Again, as some IT companies, IT projects, what we call 10,000 mandate, 20,000 mandate kind of a project. Okay, so 20,000 mandate means you understand it's around 15-20 crores, something like that, right? So sometimes we call it as mandate project, sometimes we give it a cost, yeah, or sometimes what is the measure? Okay, that is what we decide in cost management plan, correct? And in IT generally, because most of the cost is that human resource, you all generally count in mandates. Okay, and then level of precision, as I said, okay, level of accuracy. That is what that is there. Yeah. So what is an acceptable level of accuracy? Yeah. And then we decide how are we going to fund the project, how are we going to how are we going to acquire, what is the best practice to acquire, okay, and then the EFs. Okay, again, okay, EFs again, as I said, market conditions, all these things you have to consider. OPI will give you some tools and all, okay, and then finally you come up with the cost management plan. Fine. So come up with a plan, cost management plan, and then start doing the baseline. Okay. So again, all these processes when we talk about, so schedule we saw, okay, scope we saw, plan and the baseline. Okay. So here also plan here, and then the baseline. Now tell me what is the baseline 2 steps? What did you discuss? The baseline processes. Baseline was first part.
Oh, yeah, yeah, what we discussed with the baseline.
Yeah, so baselining, how did we come to the cost? We discussed at two levels, right? So one is estimate cost at
Uh,
the lowest level, correct? So estimate cost at this lowest
uh,
level. So here a cost at this level, cost. Find out the cost at each level, correct? And then what we did, we aggregated
hmm.
all this cost, okay, into work packages, correct? Here,
Then you
if
come
we
to
can
one
see,
cumulative cost.
yeah, so come to the cumulative cost. So two steps. One is find out the cost at each level, maybe that with the reserves and all, aggregate up, and then come to the budget. So we have two processes now.
Uh,
Okay? We have two processes. One is your estimate cost at the activity level, and the second process is determine budget. Yeah.
hmm.
So estimate cost at the activity level, and then aggregate it up to the budget level. Correct. So if I say,
But
yeah, so if I say estimate cost, what is that we are doing, and how do you estimate the cost? Now, any estimation generally that the number we want to come, the estimate we want to come is generally using that techniques only, which we use this schedule. For example, what we talked about analogous top down, okay, or bottom up, or parametric, or 3 point. Yes, it's the same thing we'll use here. These techniques are very common to duration, finding the duration estimates, finding the cost estimates. Okay, many things, resource estimates also. We use all the things. Okay. Now again, when you say
hmm.
estimate cost, what are you doing? Trying to find out, identify and considering various cost alternatives. Again, see what are the resources we have decided. Based on that, it will come. Basically, the cost will be there. But again, in that also, if you say, for example, I have decided to have a foundation digging using a big machine, okay, like a JCB or something, which will help me to do the things faster, because in my project, faster things are important. Now, to get this JCB, okay, I may go for buying that equipment, leasing that equipment, okay, or any other option. So that is what the various alternatives I will check here in my estimate cost, correct? And how do I estimate the cost? Generally in units of currency, to facilitate comparison within both and within the across the projects. For example, what is the cost of that? Okay, maybe in the currency unit. Okay, how much rupees or dollars will we get this? Will we get this equipment or the resource? Okay, even the resource, for example, I want a quality consultant for a project. Okay, is he a cost to me? Yes, it's a cost to me, right? And then after that I will go for procurement processes. But here, first of all, I need to estimate what is the resource, and do I take him on the contract, or do I take him on a permanent position? That's what we are deciding here. So the accuracy of the project estimate will increase as the project progresses through the life cycle. Okay, as I said, this cone of uncertainty always have to remember. Okay, so lesser accuracy at the start. Okay, and as we progress, it will more and more accurate. So the cone becomes smaller and smaller. Correct. So you reach a stage where you have -5 to +10%. We reach this stage also. Yeah, -5 to +10%. Now schedule activity cost estimate is a quantitative assessment of the likely cost of the resources required to complete the schedule activity. So what is the resources required? The quantitative assessment for the resources, the cost required for the resources is the basically the cost. So remember, the resources become the majority of the cost component, right? So cost is basically the resource. You can just equate that. So you can say cost is resources. Yeah. So again, extra cost will be there. Risk, even if you are taking up risk insurance to against some accident insurance, if it's a very accident prone site, or a health insurance, or a life term insurance, okay, all this is a costly, right? Because you have to pay the premium for that risk. Even that you'll consider. Again, it is project specific, then you have to do it. For example, we were doing a project in for that public safety only. Related to that, we are doing a project for military in Kashmir. Okay, so whenever we used to send people to Kashmir, we were getting 10 lakh insurance special, because there was a lot of yeah, so there was a lot of risk there. Okay, we used to get 10 lakh insurance additional when you go to that. People demanded that, and the company spend, or the project spend special 10 lakh insurance. So that is again project cost. Because of that project, we wanted that. Okay, but the project for defense, okay, they run in thousands of crores. Okay, so that was very small amount relatively, but yeah, it was mapped to the project. Yeah. Okay. So we understood now how to estimate the cost, right?
Yep.
Okay. Um, yeah. So what are the inputs here when I talk about estimate cost? What could be the input from you? What would the input? So basically, coming under the cost estimate means what? Activity A, B, C. Okay, and activity A requires 50,000, that resource. B requires 50,000. C requires 20,000. Okay, this is how you come
Hmm.
up with. That's the activity cost estimate. Correct. Basis of estimate, again, which method did you use? Okay, any assumptions you have done? Okay, all these things. Right. Now tell me, what is the input? Inputs. What are the inputs? Who will guide you to do this? The cost management plan. Correct, which is part of the quality management plan. correct? Now again, when you talked about risk, okay, did we talk about quality? No. So quality also will require some investment. Quality also
Hmm.
will require some investment. As I said, quality consultant, quality equipment, some any say your product is you want to test the product, and for to testing that you need some equipment. For example, in my project, one of the clients wanted a performance tested product because it was the expectation was high performance. And so we had to get this performance testing done by IBM and done by so many other companies, and that was the cost to us, and that was a cost which is mapped to my product, yeah, for my project, correct? So even quality, okay, is called cost of quality. Okay, again we'll discuss what is cost of quality. So cost of quality is either you throw a bad product, okay, and then the quality team comes up with a lot of defects, okay, they find a lot of defects, you have to keep correcting them, that's the cost. You throw the bad product to the customer, he will keep on reporting issues. Every issue he reports, okay, first of all you will spend a lot of money there to resolve that. And what else, brand equity also can go down, so brand name also can get spoiled. Yeah, that's called cost of quality. Now the other or a preferred way in PMBOK is cost of conformance. That means you invest in getting the right product, invest in building the right product. So quality is all about quality is built in, not corrected after. So whenever you do some work, okay, obviously do it right the first time. That's what it says. So get the proper training done, get the proper design done. Okay, so we have to think about it and invest there. Okay, generally what we do, we deliver something and then we keep on correcting it. Actually, the correction cost is much more than that. Okay, so cost of quality. For example, they say if this is cost of conformance (CC) and cost of non-conformance (NCs). Okay, now if you spend 1 rupee here, okay, you'll save 10 rupees here. Okay, so what this is either prepare or repair. Okay, either prepare or repair. So here again, what is cost of conformance? Cost of conformance is all about first is preventive cost. How do you prevent the issues to come? How do you prevent the issues to come? By proper design, by proper training, okay, by proper reviews. And then there's the appraisal cost. Appraisal cost is again you appraise the product before giving to the even to the quality team. Okay,
Hmm.
now if you have not done here, invested here properly, okay, what will end up that internal testing team will raise a lot of issues. Okay, and every issue is a cost because it has to correct it. Okay, and it was not part of the was it part of the original budget? Do you do issue fixing also as part of your budgeting and scheduling? Issue fixing.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Tanvi?
If it is a if you give the product to the internal testing team, they will raise issues, right? They will raise defects.
Uh-huh.
So you have to solve the defects also, right? So now
Yeah.
these defects are they part of the original plan, or is it something which was not expected?
No, no, you have to give time for testing. It should be part of your original plan. Otherwise, if you do not give time to it, it will increase your cost because you will anyways have to resolve it.
Correct. So that's perfect. Okay, so the testing it's fine. Okay, the testing should be part of your
No.
schedule and cost. But if what about the defects? What about the defects? Are you
So
expecting defects?
you should expect defects. I mean, if
Okay.
you, how can you say that my product is flawless? If you're saying that, huh, but let's say if you expected a defect which you never planned, I mean, it was a major defect and you required more time, then that was not planned.
Yeah, that's the right way to go about it. Remember, PMBOK, we are not planning for the defects. In our, I can tell you my first-hand experience. Used to plan around 50% of the time of development for fixing of the defects. Okay, but how can you expect something which is not expected actually? Are you able to get it? So, for example, you plan something which is actually a rework kind of a thing. Yes,
Mhm.
some kind of defects can be there. You cannot expect zero issues,
So,
but
but
yeah,
you are
you
saying
should not.
you should never plan for defects.
Yeah, you should not expect big defects. Okay, that your processes and quality and
Okay.
process of development should be such that you cannot plan for defects. Okay, and any defect would go if a major defect. Okay, beyond, say for example, this is a say 6 months kind of a project. Any issue fix which requires say more than 3 4 days or 5 6 days, 10% more of say 6 months, okay, something like that. It will go through the change management process. The defect repair also should go through the change management process. Could you get it? So
Yeah.
by rule, okay, we are not expecting major issues. Okay, that's what it is saying. So don't try to save something here. Okay, it's a ratio of 1 to 10 here, and this is part of internal failure. We call it as a failure. Okay, rework is all failure, not non-conformance to requirements, right? So now this is the internal failure cost is 10. Okay, and the external failure, the customer or production issues, car failing at the on the road is 100. Okay, so 10 to 100. So this is the cost which actually required for rework. Again, it's a very demotivating thing to be done. Again, nobody likes to keep on solving issues and issues. I have faced thousands of issues. I went on site for UAT and then I found more than 1,000 issues. Again, I'll tell you the story in monitoring and controlling, that how we can prioritize and things, but we're not expecting that situation. Okay, we have to avoid that, because the cost is something like this. Okay, the same issue you could have resolved it if you have done it here. You saved only invest 1 rupee here. Here you would save 10 rupees. You would need 10 rupees. Or external failure is 100 rupees. Yeah, as I said, cost of changes will keep rising. Will keep rising. Okay. So now in estimate cost, what are you going to use again? Okay, you will use your risk register. Why? Because insurance, resource requirements, again for every resource will require. Okay, and schedule, based on the schedule when you require the resources, right? And when you require the basis, that you'll come up with the estimate and lessons learned register. Any things, okay, any lessons you have learned, okay, you want to use that. Now again, estimates, how do you estimate? Analogous estimating, top down. You refer that previous past project, okay, that much is the cost expected, and then top down kind of a thing, more tentative. That's not very accurate. Come up with this, or or bottom up, exactly opposite. Go to the detail. Okay. Even in activity, you divide that activity again and then find out, okay, what are the things. For example, I gave you an example that if I'm able to divide again, decompose the screen itself just to estimate this. Okay, and that's called bottom. Okay, finding things at the bottom, detail level, and then rolling it up, and then the parametric estimation. But here, remember, we are only doing for each activity. Okay, so when we talked about this activity A, B, so we are doing the estimation for activity level. Okay, did we aggregate? No, we are aggregating in the next process. That's called budget. So these all activities we are estimating now. So it's in 10,000 here, 10,000 here. Okay, now this is what we are coming up with. Again, what we talk about here, when you are estimating, we do the first of all reserve analysis, contingency reserve. So some reserve will require. That's what we put. That's called contingency reserve. Correct. Known risks, contingency reserve. Unknown risks, management reserve. Okay. Cost of quality and cost of alternatives. Like what are the alternatives to come up with the cost? Okay. So as I said, resource and quality impacts of buying versus making a deliverable. Okay, buy versus make versus buy versus lease. And this is what we always think about. And now, what is the method you've used? Okay, we'll come with the basis of estimates. Okay, cost estimates and the basis of estimate. Always remember, whenever you give an estimate, okay, it's a good practice to give the basis of estimates, because you might have been using this. Okay, you might have used this, and the person might be trying to do and check with your bottom. Okay, again, 3 point also. If you have used it, what was the estimate? How did you come to that? What is the formula you applied? All this you can put so that there's no confusion. And why would you give this? For example, think about that. Okay, the person sits in US and you are in India. Then you would need to document what you have done. If you're sitting side by side, okay, it would be more easy to explain. The documentation is not needed. That's why I keep saying that always think from a perspective the project is very huge. Okay, multi-million-dollar project. Okay, and the stakeholders are spread throughout the world. Okay, widespread audience. Okay, or widespread stakeholders, and you need to communicate. Okay, and then the documentation becomes very important. That's why. Okay, so that's why you can just think this is a huge project. To go from the perspective, all the things why you're doing is makes it easy. Okay, if you're a very small organization, okay, everybody sits side by side. Okay, then the documentation would be less. But from PMBOK exam point of view, remember it's very huge, very huge, 5-10 year kind of a project. Okay, so have you worked for bigger projects? There are a lot of documentation to be done, and it helps because so many people sitting at so many places, they want some information. Okay, whenever they want information, you can just show them this document, and then they'll be able to find that information. Okay, so we have come up with the estimates for the estimate cost for the activities. Right now, what we'll do, we'll aggregate. Okay, so what we are doing now, again, aggregating from the activity to work package, the control account, and the baseline, and then the management reserve will come to the budget, right? So now, what are we doing here? When you are budgeting, so this process is called determine budget. What's the process called? Determine budget. Okay, so determine budget is the process name. Okay, so what will you use now? What will you use to come up with the budget?
Historical information.
Yeah, historical information, and then you'll use this the estimates which you did in the this now. So you want to aggregate that, right? You'll use this also.
Yeah.
You'll use the
Just a question. I mean, you will. How do you come with a cost type? Like, for example, you worked with construction, right? So how do you know, for example, what cost to apply there? I mean, somebody's experience will know it. So is there some breakdown?
So
Ki bhai,
Yeah. So first of all, very simple analogous. Generally, the customer will ask us, what is I have a 60/40 plot, and I want to build a bungalow. So tell me what is the tentative cost. So generally, any city wise it differs because the labor cost will differ. For example, when I worked, it was around 1,000 rupees per square feet. Okay, so there, you can say in my city. So if you say if it's a 5,000 square feet bungalow, okay, just multiply that 5,000 into 1,000. That's parameter. Generally in construction, parametric is very much used. The way we buy the flat also, we have like 5,000, 10,000 per square feet cost in the different areas in Pune, and then you just multiply that. Okay, parametric is very highly used in construction. That's the first level information we give, and then what are the estimates? Okay, in construction we generally a very famous software called Primavera is used, where what we do is you put cost for against each resource which you will require. For example, I will require construction material and all that. That we keep up a budget. So for construction materials, the bricks and the cement and uh, and again we again decide for bigger projects. You can see now the cement company itself is is launched there in the site itself. So just like in Pune also you might have seen. So for bigger projects, you may find that if you have a small setup of concrete mixer, all this kind of a setup is there inside the site. Otherwise, you call that concrete mixer truck. Okay, that they will supply you. Again, that cost will be there. So, but analogously, okay, that parametric, okay, just simply per square feet you will multiply, and then so when we give an estimate to the client, okay, we have a standard template, okay, where we know what is the things required. So first is the construction, like the structural cost, okay, and then we come up with a steel and all. So I am a B civil engineer. Actually, started as a civil engineer 20 years back. Yeah. So there's how they do the estimation is what are the list of materials we need. Okay, we need this construction material, steel, and then we need the wooden things to be uh, used. Okay, so all the materials, how much is the material? Again, we can come up with that. Like the way we do human resources. Okay, for example, screen wise we decide, and the work wise we decide how many resources. Here also, so we have a this idea that okay, per square feet, what is the material we require? So how much steel is required? So you can just come up with a from a percentage point of view also, or detail it out. Okay, and then build the materials against that. Okay, cost against that material. So for example, if you use a B grade steel, okay, a grade A steel in my construction, that's the cost per length of that. Okay, and then we come to that, and then the labor cost, and that's the final cost. And then maybe when we are providing consulting, okay, we also provide the consulting cost, and that's how the total cost is achieved. It's actually very simple. It's a very standard way to do in construction because the materials requires a kind of standard only. So again, the customer chooses, okay, what type of material he wants to choose. Okay, maybe that grade A also is there, grade B also is there. He'll say no, go for this. And then we also give them the option, okay, if you want to use this kind of cement today, it is 500 rupees per bag. Okay, you will need 200 500 bags, okay, of cement in this kind of a construction project. Okay, they will say okay, let's go with this cement, and then basis that, so this is the standard cost. Again, the market, you can just ask any vendor, he will tell you the cost of cement. Any vendor can tell you the cost of steel. Any vendor will tell you the cost of the furniture, like the wooden things and all. So it's actually very standard, easier done in that way. In software, what we do in our company, we just they used to have a kind of a dashboard, okay, where we used to just put, okay, how many, what kind of people are we requiring. So in our software, I'll tell you now. Okay, so for example, I said I need a technical architect, okay, for from this to this, okay, for this 10 days. Okay, then the per day cost of this technical architect is always there. So we know what is the range that people work. Okay, this is a standard organization level. For example, the technical architect salary is from 25 to 30 lakhs. So this we know. Okay, so it considers around 27.5 lakhs. The algorithm or the macro in Excel is also is easily calculated. So for example, PM is required for some time. Okay, and then the developers. Okay, so developer cost, again depending upon the experience. So we have a designation, analyst, senior analyst. Okay, and then the group lead, team lead, all this have a salary range. Okay, and then we'll say what is the time. So type of research is done and quantity of research. So PM is only one. Okay, in fact it's not, he cannot be one also. Sometimes it's all 0.5 because he's having multiple projects. PMOC perspective, PMP exam, he's only handling one project, but from a practical perspective, generally he's working on multiple projects. So we adjust this also to adjust the cost. So if I'm working only, say I have a very experienced team, maybe it's only 0.25 required here, 0.25 of the PM. Okay. So TA, technical architect, business analysis people are shared. So we say 50% only. What is the cost? So this again BA cost would depend upon, say, again depends on the organization, maybe 30 to 40 lakhs. This can be the business analyst cost, okay, or maybe 20 to 30 lakhs, something like this. Yeah. So this is how we calculate the cost here. Okay. Now we have to estimate the cost. Now we are aggregating. So basically, when we say budgeting, okay, what are we doing? We are aggregating. So this we take the cost. Okay, that is the documents, right? So the documents and the estimate activity cost is the main input here. What we do? We aggregate, right? So cost aggregation is the main tool and technique here, correct? And how do you do? You aggregate it to the WS work package, control account, then there's the entire project, right? So whatever I'm speaking, okay, I have written only this Excel, okay, this PPT. So whatever I have in mind, I've just put it there, okay, but it makes a lot of sense, and it will match what I'm speaking. So with the recording, if you go through this, it will be very heavy. It will be very easy to understand, yeah. So data analysis, again reserve analysis, okay, which can establish management reserve of the project. So first of all, contingency reserve and the management reserve, both, correct? Now, management reserve is part of what? Part of budget. Okay, management reserve is not part of estimate cost. Correct? We saw that figure, right? So earlier we are coming up with estimate cost. Correct? And then the historical information reviews. Again, we check that. Okay, now this project is taking almost 20 crores. Earlier we used to do it in 12 crores. Okay, what is the difference? Why it is so much different? Okay, so we may think that okay, the vendor is taking a lot of money. So we may get some idea. That's why we just we always have a kind of historical from a historical experience. We again just cross check this. Okay, we review this. Okay, we review this, and then the funding limit reconciliation. Okay, what is this? Now when we come to the budget, we understand that budget is time phase budget. Time phase budget. Okay, that means what? That means the budget we will require different funding at different point in time. So you'll say, okay, first quarter I require so much, second quarter I require so much, right? So this is what you come up with time phase budget. So not only one time, it's a time phase budget. Now say for example, this is what your time phase budget is. Okay, can you see this curve, S curve? Yeah, this curve. Yeah. Yeah, if you're able to see this. So what I'm trying to say is, now say for example, you come up with a funding requirement. So as I said, first quarter you need 3 crores. Second quarter you need another 1 crore. Third quarter you need another 3 crores. Okay, so this is your quarter wise. So this is your first quarter, second quarter, something like this, and third quarter, something like this, right? So this is time wise. Now, for example, second quarter you've asked for 1 crore, right? And third quarter you've asked for another 3 crores, right? Third quarter. Now the management says, okay, we don't have this 3 crores at this point in time because it's a March ending, okay, financial year end. So I will not be able to provide you this. We'll be able to provide you only 1 crore at this point in time. What will happen now? How would you take this change? Is it a change? It's a change, but you have not established a baseline yet. Okay, so after this baseline approval, then if somebody says they can say the change. But during the planning itself, somebody who is if the management gives you a little different amount, okay, so they're not available 3 crores, okay. So now only 1 crore is available. What would you do in this situation? What is the impact of this?
You're saying that they will only give you 1 CR, they will not give you 3 CRs.
Exactly.
So then everything will change.
It will change, right? So you will do whatever resources you can manage in 1 crore. That all the schedule will get impacted, and it might get impacted, right? Schedule will obviously get impacted because this is 1/3 of the resources you'll use now. Okay, 1/3 of the resources you'll use, and what is the work you can done. So in our clients generally, for smaller clients, which when we do the work, okay, generally they use this. So they'll say, okay, for this 6 months we'll not be able to provide you money. Okay, then we do a small work for whatever is the amount available. We'll do it, and the project gets delayed, okay, or extended. Okay, so that's called funding limit reconciliation. And funding limit reconciliation means that limit is set to you, okay, and then you have to reconcile. What do you mean reconcile? Reconcile your schedule with the budget with the given funding, right? So funding limit reconciliation generally ending up in changing of your schedule. Funding limit reconciliation is changing of your schedule. Now if you see that, okay, what we have done. So if you see what is the tool and technique we used here, it's basically a cost aggregation. Let me just make it a little more smaller so that we can see the whole screen. Yeah. So what did you do? We did a cost aggregation, that's the main part, and then we did historical information review, and then the funding limit reconsideration. What have we done? Reconsidering funding limits committed for the project. Okay. Now, variance between funding limits and planned expenditures will need rescheduling to the level of rate of expenditure imposed. So, how much available amount? Okay, that much only you will be able to take the resource, and that much only you will be able to do the work. Okay. Yeah. So this is again, this happens in the project, right? Yeah. So whatever the limit, that's what you will try to use. Okay. So now tell me, just have a quick revision on this. Okay, and then we'll take a break.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah. So cost baseline plus management reserve is equal to, you add management reserve to your cost baseline, it becomes what?
Budget.
Project budget, correct? So
Mm-hmm.
you have to always also remember that project budget minus cost baseline minus management reserve will be minus management reserve will be cost baseline. The same thing. I'm just trying to rearrange, right? And what is? I'm just trying to kind of rearrange the formula. Okay. So budget minus cost baseline. Why I'm asking? Sometimes question will confuse you like this. Budget minus cost baseline. Let me just show you this figure also so that you remember.
Management.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I'm just trying to rearrange and ask you. Sometimes they will give you two values and they will ask you what's the third value, something like this. Okay. So if you see this, okay, so see this. So this will become part of our daily revision checklist. Okay, so we have a daily revision sheet which I'll provide you soon. That so the stakeholder classification, this thing. Okay. So cost baseline plus management reserve is equal to budget. Budget budget minus management reserve is cost baseline. Okay, budget minus cost baseline is management reserve. Okay, and activity estimates plus activity reserves, okay, will become work package. Work package estimates plus contingency of the work package will become control account. Okay, so just remember it. That's why I put that figure also. There you have seen that aggregation figure. Okay, so and what else we have seen here now? So what is make or buy analysis? Make versus buy analysis.
Make versus buy analysis.
Okay, let me just tell you, give a little example to make that interesting. So, say for example, if it's a 1 month project, right, and you want to buy equipment, okay, the daily rent of the equipment is 1,000 per day, okay, and the cost of equipment, if you buy it, is 30,000. Yeah. What do? Which is the option, if you whether you rent it or whether you buy it?
Depending 1 month project, na? So
Yeah.
daily rent is 9,000. The cost of the equipment is 30 days. Now, will you take 30 days as your working day, or you take only 22 days as your working day?
Yeah, so we
Or
take 30 days.
21?
30 days.
Achha, so it's the same thing.
Yeah, the same thing.
You will
What is
rent
the
it
option you
out
go for?
because if you buy it in this project, you can use it depending if you can use it in other, so it becomes a future investment, but then you have a maintenance cost also.
Exactly. So you have to see that in the question. Is there any maintenance cost? So you have to see the total cost. Yeah, correct. Exactly. So that's what I was expecting the question from you. Is you have to find out what is the total cost of acquiring something. So for example, as I said, right, if you buy elephant, okay, buying is easier. To maintain it become difficult. So cost of car also is like that, right? Yeah. So we have to take the whole cost of it first of all, and then see what we can do. So whole cost. For example, cost of acquisition. So parking also might be a problem, right? If for example you buy a car, 2-3 lakhs is a parking cost today. Okay, and then if you
Absolutely.
don't cannot afford to buy a parking, you have to rent the parking out. Okay, and then renting out the parking will be 5,000 extra. So again, that also things you have to consider. And then you will make a decision. Okay, so it's always the acquisition cost plus that's why I put it here in the in the content checklist. Okay, cost content I put here. No? If you see this, so I put this cost content also. Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So see here. So whenever you talk about the cost, it is cost of yeah. So cost of acquisition, cost of maintenance also, right? And then you decide. Generally, these questions can come up. So, what is the other twist we can add? Okay, renting and buying cost, and then again operation cost you'll see. Okay, and you'll see the duration of the project also. Generally, for longer duration project, we'll go for buying. Okay, because rental generally it requires more rent. Okay, and again you have to you can calculate per day cost is there. Okay, so if the per day cost is not there, they will tell you that okay, for 60 days it requires 60,000. Okay, something like this, and then you have to find out what is the per day cost. Whenever the figures are given in a aggregate fashion, find out the per day cost for the train, so that you can multiply with the duration of the project. Okay, same way if you want to say for this is 1 month project, you need a consultant, quality consultant. Okay, whether you will go for a permanent employment, whether you will go for a contractual. Maybe if it's a very small thing, maybe you'll go for a contractual. But if you want to have a long term relationship, again the motivation factor is different. Right? That is another knowledge area, the resource knowledge area. When you take a person on contract, okay, and you take a person on permanent employment, the motivation factor will be different, correct? So that also
Yeah.
we have to just consider. But from this process point of view, if the answer is in the, so now if this is the question which is given to you, so for example you want to decide on whether to take the resource on a permanent employment or a contract thing, okay, and lot of information is given, okay, so this that rental, all these things are given, okay, and they have got perks and all this given. Now you have to see the answers first. Is the answer given in numerical, like in a monetary terms? Is that the answer? Or it is asking, it is telling you that okay, the motivation level, based on the motivation level of the resource, okay, you will go
Okay.
for this kind. So that, so what I always have to do is, if whenever you see the question, see the, and the question is very big, okay, a lot of information is there. The problem which we face in the exam is, it will start that okay, this is a satellite making company, and then you have 10,000 stakeholders, and then the stakeholders keep fighting, and then there's a cost also required, and there's a schedule also required. So now they try to confuse you with all the knowledge areas and all the processes. Okay, so now what you have to do is, any question which you study, you have to see what is the process which they're asking. How do you find that? So first of all, any question will have a crux of two sentences generally, okay, and that two sentences are the last two sentences generally. Okay, so if you're getting very confused, what is this quality they will tell, procurement they will tell, okay, in the same question. So now you get confused, what is that they are going to talk, they are actually focusing on. See the last two sentences generally, the question is the question is given. Now they will say which is the quality policy you will apply, which is the quality tool you will apply, whether you will go for a permanent employment or not. So that's the question. The last sentence is giving the exact question. See the answers then. Is it a monetary value given? Is it a employment type given? And then now reread the question. Okay, now you understand that it's a cost question, and it's basically the determine budget or estimate cost question. So you have to zero down on the process. Okay, you have to find out which process they are talking about, and then accordingly you will understand what is that they're talking about. Even though all the extraneous information you have to remove. That's what the idea is. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll take a lunch break, maybe of 15 minutes. We'll have
Yeah,
a
yeah.
15 minutes break, and then we'll come back, and
Yes.
we'll continue with this resource chapter. Okay, estimate resource around.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, and then let's meet after the break. Let me just put a countdown timer. Welcome back. Gagan, are you there? Can we start? Yeah. Okay. So now, if I go to the process map again, so this is our index. Okay, we have to keep checking our progress through this only. A process overview. Okay, so I'll just put it here at the start. Yeah. Yeah. So in planning, we are in the planning process group. Okay, we understood PMP 2 levels, and then we had your scope, the plans. We saw that structure of the plans is same, right? All the
Mhm.
plans, the structure is same, right? So ITTOs, if you consider inputs to techniques and outputs, inputs again charter PMP, AFOPA. Tools are the output is the corresponding knowledge area plan, and the tools generally are expert judgment, data analysis, and meetings, right? So we saw that, and then the scope, schedule, cost. If we talk about its plan and the baseline, okay. So we have now done all the three plans, all the three baselines, okay. Now we also had one resource chapter in it, okay. We had a resource. So basically, we understood that we cannot do the scheduling, duration of the activity, or do the costing without the resource, right? So we have done the resources also, right? So this is what we have covered in planning, correct? Now, okay, can we start the project without getting the required resources? Can we start executing? Okay, can we start executing without getting the resources?
No.
No, you have to get the resources, right? So now just remember, till now, before this, okay, initiating planning is all about like paper, okay, on paper. So we have not yet created the deliverable. It was more about planning, approaching, and finding out the targets, okay. So if you consider the deliverable as the output, okay, is the deliverable created somewhere here in the initiating and planning? No, right? We are
Mhm.
just planning. We are just finding the approach and baseline. So we have set the targets now. Okay. Now this is what we have to do. Okay, it's important. Planning is very important, but to understand the context and what is the executing, executing is the way where the deliverable will come out. Where the people, you will get the people. Okay, people in the sense when you say require resources, acquire resources. Acquire resources means getting all the resources. On how many resources we have? Man, machine, material. 3M, right? So
Mhm.
it's a team resource or the physical resource. So you have to acquire everything, right? And it depends, okay, what is the calendar, what is the resource requirement, when it is a resource is required, okay. So your basis that you have come up with the resource requirements here. So that basis that you will consider, you will acquire the resources. For example, you need a designer today and planner today. Like to plan, you need your planning people today, but the developers will be required only in execution. So again that, so basically you want the developers at this stage now, okay. You want the developers at this stage now, okay. So remember, acquire resources for all the resources, okay, the team resource and the physical resource both, and then you start working on the project. That process of director managed project work, okay. So let's see these two processes now. So we have to find out acquire the resources. How do you acquire the resources? Acquire resources.
You will acquire resources. So there are processes around it. You normally, in our office, you reach out to recruitments, or that you need to, you want these kind of resources. If they are internally there, then you have to write to certain stakeholders. If they have to be externally hired, you need
Hmm.
to tell them that I need these kind of resources, because here I don't know how it works in your environment,
Mhm.
but here this is the standard process.
Perfect. That's perfect. So team assignments basically we want to come up with. So we give the resource requirements, okay, to the management, to the HR people. Okay, they have the pool of resources. Okay, and maybe through it requires a approval from your sponsor. Okay, or you have a meeting where you all together sit together and then they find out who are the resources and whether
Mm.
internally available or you want to recruit. Okay, so as is rightly said, recruitment should always should be an option. Okay, recruitment can be an option because if you don't have the resource internally, okay, then the requirement will go to the recruitment team. Okay, now remember, they have to have some lead time. Okay, they have to be given notification or informed in advance so that they can process that recruitment, because recruitment can take time. Can more
Mm.
specialized requirement, more time it can take. Okay, so that again just remember that. Okay, so team assignments, just team assignments is basically giving the resource requirements, okay, to the different stakeholders. Maybe HR manager or sponsor will approve it, okay. And now whenever you take a resource, first of all, take the resource calendars also. Resource calendar means what? Your annual leave plan. We've seen that in the schedule, right? So we have to take the annual leave plan, and we have to take the what is the availability of the resource. Sometimes the resource are given shared, like business analyst is available, but he's only available 50% of the time. Yeah, so his availability is 50%. So have you seen the durations change? Yes, the durations change. So what is the availability of the resource? Now if you put all this in the MSP, the resources and the his availability, his leave plan, okay, automatically the like Microsoft project will adjust the schedule. Okay. Now generally remember, even in PMBOK it is said that negotiation is must. Okay. So your organization, your management will never give you the resources required completely. Okay, generally that's the idea of the management. Okay, for example, you will ask for senior people and then generally they will give you some junior people, because that is where they make some profit also, and they want you to uh, they don't want that. Okay, like you, under you all the experts are there, so that then your work becomes very easy. They also want to kind of challenge you. It's not written in the PMBOK, but from a practical perspective, that whenever they assign you resources, they will try to give you lesser skilled resources, lesser experienced resources, because they are cheaper, right?
Mhm.
And you have to now negotiate. So officially, so without negotiation, generally I have seen never you get the right kind of resources. Now you may put some lock-in specs. For example, you are targeting 2 3 people, you know that they are best and they are available. Okay, now you want to get that people. Okay, XYZ, these are the 3 people XYZ. Now never call out the names. Okay, again from a practical point of view, never give the names that I want this XYZ people. Always give
Oh.
the key skills they have. Okay, key skills which are not available to other people, which are not available in, for example, he may have a experience from like in your company or the previous company which he had. Whatever is a unique key skill they have. Okay, just put that. Okay, if you want to get
Mhm.
that resource particular, if you name him, then they will ask you why this person only, because good resources generally there will be a fight for that resources. Okay, to get that will be challenge. So always there will be like so many projects where they want to, like they are fighting for this kind of good resources. That's one thing. But negotiation must important. Here your influencing skills comes into picture. Okay. Now what happens sometimes is during when you do the contract with the customer, okay, or internal product development generally. Okay. So when there's a repeat kind of a project, okay, with the same customer. For example, the customer was you did the project one with him, okay, and now you are planning for the next project. Now with in previous in the project P1, okay, he got there was a very good rapport built by Mr. X, okay, this resource. So now when you do the next project, the customer will always ask, he will say, okay, this X is required. Okay, so this is called as pre-assignment. Yeah, so customer telling you that, okay, this project manager, this developer has to be there in this project, okay, because he has got a good rapport or something like that. Generally internal product, okay, when you have a repeat product, for example, I was already for whenever a new product was developed, okay, I sometimes with my experience I was pre-assigned to it. Okay, that means this person has to be there for the project to be implemented. Okay, that's called pre-assignment. Now pre-assignment sometimes is part of the contract itself. Sometimes key skills are given. It's not the name, but sometimes the key skills are given again. Okay, again they use the same logic that to get this person, they tell that, okay, in the contract or in the resource requirement, this is the key skills required. Yeah, and when you recruit now, okay, when you get your team together onboarding, yeah, so now you have two options: either co-located or virtual. Okay, ideally we want to be co-located as far as possible. Agile also suggests we have to be co-located. Okay, but yeah, or both the things have its pros and cons. Okay, like even if it's a dedicated co-located team, okay, or yeah, co-located team or a virtual team. Now what do you mean by co-located? What do you mean by virtual? Right? So co-located means something that, okay, I can just shout out to that person, okay, and he should be able to listen. That's called co-location. Even if you are in a neighboring building, okay, which takes 2 minutes to walk down, okay, then even that is virtual. Yeah, now virtual can be up to a limit of, say for example, it's a different time zone. Okay, somebody sitting in USA and you are in India, then the time zones also differ. Okay, that's again virtual. Now again, when should we go for virtual, when should we go for co-located? Again it depends. Okay, because of the pros and cons. Sometimes you get virtual resource very easily available across. If you are virtual, then obviously the globe is a limit. Okay, so anyone from any country, okay, you can recruit. But if it's a co-location thing, okay, either he has to relocate here in your city, okay, in your around your company, okay, and that thing also requires a co-location. Physical co-location may not be always be possible. Now but the thing is, co-location, the when you are co-located, the communication becomes very easy. Yeah, and it's the team feels as if they are working as a team. They meet and they see each other. Okay, they see the progress and all these things. Okay, so co-location, um, communication becomes easy. People feel they are working for a team. Okay, they can interact, and the progress made is better, is what uh, the study suggests. But it may also happen that um, some people may find difficult to reach the office. You can due to such reasons, virtual working is now coming into more and more, becoming more and more popular. Okay, a lot of people now say that if they can work from home, okay, they have family life also, they can see their family around, and then that makes them comfortable. Yeah, so virtual also has some advantages, but what you have to think from a project manager point of view is, can you do the work when you are virtual? Okay, that's what you want to see. Is your systems, processes, communication is very communication technology and communication methods are very strong. Okay, and how to have a overlap between two teams who are handling like who are changing as per the shift and all. Okay, so communication becomes more and more important when you go for virtual. Okay, you have to be very clear in how do you teams communicate. Okay, and yeah, so virtual again has its own advantages. As I said, nowadays virtual is more and more becoming. So what you can do is you can try to have use the technology for making the persons like co-locator. For example, this um, video conferencing, all these tools are helping people to feel like they're co-located. For example, if you use scaled agile, there's something called program increment planning. Okay, where we want like every this team can be from 100 to 125, these kind of people. Okay, now all these people cannot co-locate maybe at a place, or they are widespread geography. Then what it is, we have big screens for video conferencing, and then people feel that they are like they are face to face. Okay, and it helps. Yeah, so that's what we need to do. Find out. Okay, now here again, interpersonal team skills. Okay, negotiation skills will come into picture. Decision making skills, again which resource to take, what is the skill set required. Okay, all this is you have to do it from a different criteria point of view. Okay, and also you have to get physical resources. Again, physical resources sometimes you need to procure. Okay, and then again you will follow the procurement processes, or you may have it internally in the organization. Okay, some companies are very big and they internally also they have some protocol to get the resource. So they may fill some forms and all, and then they give you this resource. For example, it may be a software, it can be a machine, it can be an equipment for testing. All this can be possibilities. Okay, so now you've got the resources. So basically what will happen now, your resource calendar will get updated here. Okay, that's what is the availability of this resource to my project work. Okay, but during this it may happen that you may get some updates. Okay, so you may have the resource breakdown structure update, okay, or resource requirement update. You understand that, okay, this is okay, this is not work out. Okay, this is a little less than what I expected, so I need one more resource now. So, and there can be new risks which are found. So anything which is found will generally update PD or PMP. It's either a project document update or a project management plan update. Okay, yeah. So coming out with resources now. Okay, so now what's the next step? Now we'll start acquiring. We'll start data manage project work. Okay, so now just to have a quick overview of what the processes are giving out. So in initiating we started with what? Charter stakeholder register. In planning we came out with the PMP. In data managed project work we are coming out with deliverables. In data managed project work we are coming out with deliverables. That's the most important. This is a more important output of data managed project work. And you also give some work performance data. Okay, we see that we have seen that. So what is the status, today's status? Okay, that's given in data managed project work. Correct. So we'll study this. So when we say data managed project work, what are we doing now? Okay, so let's see this. Yeah. So when we talk about data managed project work, okay. Now what are we doing? Basically, we are creating deliverables. Okay, what are we doing? We are creating deliverables. Who are working on who are working on creating the deliverables? Okay, so deliverables are what is that we're creating. So the experts, that is the functional resources now, that the developers and all, they are working. Okay, you assign the task to the team using PMIs. Okay, maybe a mail, maybe some software like in available in the market like Visible or Jira, or some tools like MSP can be automated. Okay, some companies make their own software. Okay, now this is how you delegate the work. Okay, and to whom now? Okay, to the experts. Okay, and then you may call for meetings. Now what are the meetings? This is called a daily stand-up meeting in Agile, and this is called as understanding meeting in the traditional method. Okay, so basically what you want to see that everybody understands what is the target today and how will they approach it. Okay, so that's what you need to do the meetings for. Okay, so when the question says that you all the people are like you are meeting with the resources to make them understand what is their work today. Okay, which is the meeting? So it's a data managed project work meeting. Okay, now what is the inputs you need for this? Inputs, how do you execute, is coming from where? So when you remember, when you say executing, okay, when you say executing is more about following the plan, right? Executing is what? More about following the plan. So following the plan. So PMP becomes the main input for data managed project work. Correct? PMP becomes the main input for data managed PMP, project management plan, all the components of the project management plan. That means it will tell you that okay, now you go the agile way, go the traditional method. Okay, then you have the resources now. What is that everyday target? What is the weekly target? That is also schedule is giving you, and what is the cost you can incur is given by cost of baseline. Correct? And what are the things you require now? Either the accountability metrics, okay, and the schedule will tell you what is that scope you want to cover every day. So when you say you are actually executing or directly managed project, what you are doing, you are basically executing the scope within time and within the budget. So basically these three you can see blanks here. Why the three blanks here? The three are blanked here because you will say that this is the scope you are covering within the schedule, within the budget, with the given resources, with the given resources, right? Now we also know that data management project work makes first of all creates the deliverable, correct? Which mainly the deliverable which goes to control quality, which is internal testing deliverable, right? And we also have something called a status. Okay, so we also have the daily timesheets or daily status which which the developers give. Okay, for example, they give this data to which processes? The control process, right? So if we talk about the control processes, control schedule, control cost, control scope, what they take is they take the work performance data from these processes, right? From this process, which is the process data management project work. So work performance data, yeah, work performance data is given to them, and work performance information is what the control process or convert this data into information. How they convert is basically say, for example, all the controlling process. Remember the tool and technique is main technique is plan versus actual, which is variance. What is tool and technique? Plan versus actual. So what is the variance between the plan and actual? So for example, the plan was to finish 5 features in 5 days. 5 features in 5 days. Actual is what? We have only finished 3 features in 5 days. Yeah. So 5 days was the plan. Actually, 3 days means what? This is a variance. Okay. Now the variance this here that you're delayed on the schedule. Okay. This delayed on the schedule means this is the information you're giving. Okay. And who gave this? Control schedule give this. Okay. How did they give this? They took the raw data from the data management. The raw data means the status. Okay. The developers will just say, okay, I've done 3 features in this 5 weeks. Now, as a control schedule, okay, as a project manager level or a team lead level, you have to now find out that what is the variance. If the variance is a little big, okay, if it's smaller, then fine. Okay, 0.5 days is okay in 5 days. But if it is more than 0.5 days, then you have to raise a change request. What is the change request now? Here, all the controlling processes are converting data into information. We will come to this again. But remember, in data and management project work, we are actually giving the work performance data. That's the main thing you're giving out. Okay, will you get it?
Yeah.
Now, can you have change request in this? In data management also? In data management also, can we have changes? And what kind of changes can we expect here? Changes can be anything. Person resigning, okay? Change request, correct? What will you do if the person resigns? Okay, you have to raise a change request because this is an impact, okay? And then you'll maybe if the person resigns, you have a contingency reserve. You'll apply that contingency reserve. Remember, the contingency reserve is not part. It's part of the baseline, yes, but you cannot just use it as a buffer. Okay, generally that is again the wrong practice which we have. We add the buffer in the main costing, main scheduling itself. That scheduling that buffer or the contingency reserve has to be kept separate, and it has to map to a particular risk. When that risk happens, you have to say that I have used this contingency reserve because this risk has happened. Yeah, that is one thing. And something which is not planned, if it comes up, that you will use change request. Yeah, you will change request. Change request something which is not going against with the plan. Okay, then whatever happens, okay, maybe the person resigns, goes on unplanned leave for a long time, somebody meets on an accident, touch wood. Yeah, this happens. What will do now? We have seen so many times, okay, major accidents, 30 days, 50 days, okay, that is like people females getting pregnant, that is also unplanned, right? So now you have this impact, okay, 3 months, 6 months, you cannot give them any kind of a major responsibility to your team. Okay, then there's a change request and you have to really find some resource who can manage this work. Okay, data manage budget work. So if I talk about that work performance data, work performance information, now is it making sense? executing process executing process, what they do, it gives you the data. That's a so there's the raw data which is they are giving. So what is the work they have done? But in controlling processes where you get this data, okay, and you convert this into and you process it, okay, you do the variance analysis, plan versus actual, yeah, and then you convert this data into information, okay, data into information. Yeah, so So it can, this work performance data can be all the 5 people, okay, working for 5 days, okay, they can give you this raw data. Now this project manager cannot take this 25 pages of data. Okay, every day 5 developers are giving a lot of information. Now the data has to convert into a kind of summarized thing. Okay, 5 pages of information. Okay, and now finally the monitor control project book, what they do? Now this information is converted into one pager report, which is given to the sponsor. It's given to the sponsor. Okay, so information converted to report. Information converted to a report in monitor control project book. Because if you see this, so here, as I said, all the small 9 controlling processes will convert data into information, and finally it is given to monitor control project book, which is converting information into a report. Okay, information to report. Yeah, yeah. So when we say monitor control project work, okay, now what we are doing here is we are now converting that information, all which is given by all the control process, into reports, right, at the project level. So this information, data is at the developer level. Data is at the developer level. Control is at the team lead level again. So or the project manager level. Control is project manager level, and your report here is at the sponsor level. It's at the sponsor level. Correct? Yeah. So data to information is all the control processes. All the controls will convert data into information, and all this information, the 9 informations, is summarized, okay, into the report here, modern control project work, right? So if you see here, in the modern control project, what is the input we have? The input is the information we have. The information, yeah. Input is the information, okay, and then what you do here again, you do the variance analysis. All the controlling processes are basically the variance analysis. Okay, the variance means what is the plan and how is the project doing now. Okay, all the control processes are doing this only. What was the plan? How are you performing? Is there any variance? If there is a variance, we raise a change request. Okay, and the mainly thing what we're doing is work performance information into a report. Work performance report. Okay, so why work performance report? Basically, we're giving it to the sponsor, and he needs a summarized information at the project level. Work performance report is basically a summarized information at the project level. Okay, we have talked about that, but just to again kind of a revision. So work performance information is converted into work performance report here. Okay, so modern control project work, we understand now modern control project work. So it's basically again, if you again see what are the controlling processes. So all the controlling processes, for example, control. So let's take the 4 of them. Okay, we are focusing on scope, schedule, cost, and resources. Okay, if you consider this, if I say control scope, what is control scope doing now? Let us see this 3 control processes now. What is the control scope doing? Control scope is checking how are we performing from a scope standpoint. Okay, and we are managing the change to the scope baseline. For example, this was the original scope of 500 features. Yeah, original scope of 500 features. The customer has added 50 features here. Customer has added 50 features here, which is beyond your threshold. Okay, so now obviously this baseline has changed. So control scope will now trigger a change request. Okay, then it will go through all change management steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, and when you say control schedule, what is control schedule? Control schedule is basically how are we performing from a schedule standpoint. Same pattern, right? So cost will be how are we performing from a cost standpoint. Yeah, and basically schedule will manage the change schedule basis. For example, you have a 12-month schedule. Okay, now the sponsor customer says if you have to complete in 9 months. Yeah, then there's a change. Yeah, or it was 12 months, so 100% you have to complete in 12 months. Okay, but 11 months you have just completed, say 50%. Now you have to raise a change request to as a corrective action. How to come back on track? Maybe again replan the work. That you now know that you will not be able to finish the 100% work in 12 months. Correct? So now you raise a change request. So what is that? You are managing changes scope baseline, schedule baseline now. So any baseline change, okay, will be handled by the corresponding schedule, corresponding control process. Okay, any. So for example, scope changes which got triggered, scope baseline. Okay, and we keep on checking. Are we progressing? Are we progressing as per the plan? That's what the idea is. Control cost again. For example, you were supposed to do 1 CR. Okay, you are supposed to do this 100 features in 1 CR. Okay, but you have done 50 CR, 50 features, and they have spent around 70 lakhs. Now you know that 1 crore is not achievable. So what you have to revise? And you have to revise. Now you have to go, and the revision to any baseline is gone through the change management process, right? And any cost baseline change, for example, again say it's 12 crore and your sponsor is now, customer is now saying, okay, we don't have budget. Now please finish the work in 9 crore. So what are the options you have again? So you can see that, okay, whether the scope has to be flexible or you want to increase the schedule. You will say, okay, we'll use less resources, maybe we'll deliver later, but we may see cut on cost. That can be another option. Okay. So if we talk about control scope, time, cost, and resources, okay, we are basically doing what? We are basically doing common tool and technique for all. In fact, the all 9 knowledge area plans is controls is basically variance analysis. What is variance analysis? Plan versus actual. Plan versus actual. Correct. When we say plan versus actual, what is that we're doing? That's called variance analysis. How much are we varying from the plan? Correct. So actual is what? Work performance data, right? And plan is PMP. Correct.
Okay.
So what is the output now? Work performance data converts into work performance information, right? And some documents can change. And CR, generally when you say CR, change request, is basically that corrective action. If you are behind schedule, you will correct it, correct? And then that always goes into PMP updates. Okay, so project manager, if it's approved, if the change request, okay, the revision of the scope or revision of the cost, revision of the schedule, okay, now when it gets approved, generally the PMP will get approved because the baselines are part of the PMP. So if you understand this, you have understood all the 9 processes, 9 control processes. Yeah, it's like the pattern is same. Okay. Now if you talk about, let's say, control scope, are you able to get this high level?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions, please ask. Okay, so let's see control scope. Okay. If you see talk about control scope here, okay, what is control scope? Control scope is, again, control is plan versus actual. Okay, so basically variance analysis, right? So what is the plan? Coming from PMP. What is the actuals? Coming from work performance data. Okay. So for example, now tell me, if I tell that, okay, this is the original scope of 500 features, correct? And the customer added 100 more features here. What is the plan now? What's the plan? This is your plan, or your baseline, or original baseline, correct? So this was the original baseline, scope baseline. What is the actual now? The actual is 500 plus 100, 600, correct? So plus 100 means that there's a change in baseline. Now what you will do? You will do the change request because of this major change. We go change request, okay? And if the change request, so with the change request, we will go through all the steps, okay? So include this 100 features means I have first of all clearly identify this is a change, yes, okay? Second is find out all the alternatives to take this change, okay? Corresponding impacts, okay? Fourth is CCB approving. Change CCB approval. So one is approved means now what is the new baseline now? Now the new baseline becomes 600. New baseline becomes 600. Now tell me if this is new changes are approved, okay? New changes are approved. Who will do this work? Extra 100 features who will do? 500 features are done by data managed project work. But the developers, correct? 100 features also who will do now after it's approved? Developers only. That is data managed project work.
But it's just that you have to, it will go through a change request.
Yeah, it's approved now. It's approved. Now say this 100 features are got approved now. Okay. So now original was 500. Now this 100 also got approved. Now who are doing this 500 features earlier? Executed in data managed project work process. So the developers, right? 100 features also will become will be done by these people only, by the data managed project same process. So that's why you can see approved change request as input to data managed project work. Okay. So I just took a little took you to another process, but I just wanted to clear that, okay, because some people get confused here. So if I say data managed project work, did you notice one of the inputs is that approved change request? So this 100 features is actually here, approved change request, correct? So you have to just remember it like this. Then you will. So if I would have covered this in the previous process itself, then you may get confused. So now you have to always think like this, okay, and then go back to that process and check it. Now tell me this 500 features once they deliver, okay, these deliverables once they are created, where they will go for checking? QC, quality control, correct? Control quality or quality control, correct? Now tell me this was the first 500 features, the original scope are done, 500 features are done, QC is testing it. Now if I say data managed project work, this extra features, 100 features also are done, okay, and this also created deliverables. So this is 100 now, created deliverables. Now where will they get tested? QC itself, correct?
Yeah.
Correct. So the in QC, if you see now, okay, even QC quality control has an input of approved change. That's why even control quality has an approved change. Okay, just remember this flow, huh? Because if you understand this, okay, you have understood the control process. Let me take you back to the control scope. Okay, control scope. Yeah. So basically, this is the variance analysis. First we do, again, as I said, plan versus actual. The other thing which we want to do is, okay, is a trend analysis. Okay, apart from variance analysis, okay, variance again, as I said, okay, plan versus actual. Now tell me again, if I take scope 500 features, if there is 2 features added by the customer, what will you do? Only 2 features added by the customer from the 500, okay, related to 500, only 2 features are added. Now you may not go for the change management, okay, change request, okay, you may not raise the change because it's very small, yeah, and you're not generally impacting other baselines also. You feel that, okay, the impact is so generally whenever you fix a baseline, you have a some flexibility or some tolerance, okay, or threshold that plus or minus 5% is okay. Okay, so 5 out of 500 features, if there are 5-10 features, they're okay. But more than 50 features, okay, maybe you may raise a change request. So now if there's only 2 features which are got added, okay, what you will do? Maybe you'll just update it, but somewhere you'll update it. That 2 changes to PD updates. That's why it's called as project documents update here. Very small changes, project documents can get updated. That means your requirement documentation, whatever scope or baseline, whatever gets updated. Yeah. And if it's a major change, okay, so what you'll do whenever the changes has come, okay, so you will check whether the variance is under threshold or above the threshold. So this was under threshold, that's why we went to documents update, correct? If it's below the threshold, obviously you'll just update some documents and then go ahead with the work. But if it's a 200 features, what you'll do now? 200 features, you'll raise a change request. Okay. Now change request will go to the CCB and everything. Okay. Now this change request is either corrective action, okay, preventive action, or defect repair. Or this is a change, absolutely the plan, the new change which has come. Now this new change will go to the CCB process, okay, and we'll update it. Yeah, and we'll update the. If the CR, generally PMP will get updated. Okay, so because any change, anything changing, any baseline changing, PMP will get updated. Okay, now standard, as I said, all the inputs, tools and techniques, output are standard. Okay, for example, have you seen this plan versus actual? Yeah, work performance data, all the inputs, and the output will be work performance information, main output, correct? How did you get it? You check variance is under the threshold, beyond the threshold. Okay, if it's beyond the threshold, we'll raise a change request, and ultimately PMP will get updated. Now tell me, if everything is also on track, if everything is on, so information tells you that everything is on track. Okay, will you take any action? So control scope or control schedule, if they find that they are on track, do you need to control them? Monitor scope, it is actually called control scope, but actually it's monitor and control. Yeah. So monitoring is basically plan versus actual.
Yeah, everything is on track means that yes, your monitoring is successful. So you still need to monitor till the project does not get closed.
Correct. So only in case there is a change required, okay, you will raise a change request and control things. For example, let's talk about the next process now. If I take control control schedule, okay, control schedule. Okay, now again, what is this control schedule? Checking the baseline change. Okay, so let's take 2-3 examples. One example is, as I said, now the sponsor original time was 12 months, which you gave, okay, upload. Now this is a change. Customer is saying we need in 9 months. Okay, what is this now? So what is the plan? So this is a plan. Yeah, this is the actual. Yeah, is there a difference? Yes, there's a difference. Okay, is the difference bigger? Okay, beyond the threshold? Yes, maybe 5-10 days is okay. Okay, that means 5% is okay, but this is beyond 5-10%. Okay, now you have to go, what you have to do now? Raise a change request. What is the change request? You find out that, okay, now to cater to this change, okay, you may cut down on scope, okay, or you may add more resources, whatever. So you have so many options, right? Or you'll try to do fast tracking, you'll do crashing, right? Add more resources also can be an option, or maybe lesser quality, a little bit less of scope. Okay, you have so many options to do it. Whatever is the options, you go with the change request process. Go with the change request process, correct? Now what you'll use, you will use the critical path method. As I said, you will use the resource optimization. You'll use the schedule compression, taking fast and fast. You'll use the leads and lags, yeah, and trying to increase the leads, okay, and reduce the lags, okay. So that's the schedule compression. Generally, it is the change, okay, will be to reduce the schedule, okay? And then you have to use all these things. Now, other scenario can be, okay, now you know that, okay, in this 12 months, okay, you have to finish the project, and if you take a stock at 6 months, you understand we are quite delayed in the schedule, okay. So for example, you are supposed to do in this, okay, supposed to do 50% of work or 50 features out of 100, okay, and you have only done 30% of work. Means what? You are delayed on schedule. So this is the data, okay. What is the data now? So this 50% work done in the 6 months is the data, okay. And then you do the variance analysis, okay. What is variance analysis now? Variance analysis is supposed to do 50%, then only, yes, this is a variance, okay, between what is expected and what is done. And then you have to raise a change request for this to handle this change, correct? So now you raise a change request, and change request generally, if they approve the change request, okay, if they approve the, what is the change request now? The change request, you'll say that, okay, 12 months is not achievable. You cannot do 12 months. In 12 months, maybe you'll require 18 months. If the change request is approved, what will happen now? PMP will get approved, because 18 months that schedule based on got changed, and correspondingly PMP also got updated. Correct? So what did you do now? You took the variance analysis, okay? You did the variance analysis, and you found that there's a variance, okay? What was expected, what is there? Okay, so variance is big. Now you go back to the change control, CR, which is basically corrective action. What is corrective action? Corrective action is you want to correct back, okay? You want to come back on track, okay? There can be another option that, okay, today you are okay, okay? So today, out of 6 months, you were supposed to do 50, okay, and today you are around 50% only. So there's no need to be done. But you feel that, okay, next month the Diwali will be there and performance will go down, and it's not catered to, okay, in the plan, or somebody might go on a leave, okay, because of some suit, because of pregnancy, because of some problem, okay. And then what you do now, you have to take a preventive action. So today, if you take the status is good, status looks okay, on track. But tomorrow or in future, if you carry on as per the plan, it may uh, need some proactive action today itself, okay, because otherwise the performance will go off track, okay. So to prevent that happening in future, you take a preventive action. That's called preventive action. So first was corrective action, already off track, okay, already deviated from the plan, then you want to come back on track. That's called controlling action. So, and this is preventive action. Preventive action is, if you want to, now you feel that in future the project can go off track, okay. So preventively or proactively take an effort here. Third one is defect repair. All these are change requests, okay. These are what? These are change requests. So now the third one will be defect repair. So even defect repair, if it's of a particular size, okay, you will also go with the change. Also go with the change request management. Yeah, and so now here we'll see a lot of things. Okay, we'll see this forecast. Okay, maybe that in the next session tomorrow. Yeah, in agile, okay, you use these things. Have we taken? Let us just check. Okay, so let me just show you last. Okay. So this is chapter number. Now what happens is, if you see the process map, now what we did initiating, we did planning. Okay, now we started executing also. Okay, and now what we are doing, we are monitoring controlling this way. Okay, now we talked about control scope, we talked about control schedule. This is what we're talking about, control schedule. Okay, so control schedule also will so basically controlling the schedule. So we are talking about control resources. Okay, so okay, let's now go to the control cost now. Okay, so I want to go to control cost, and then in control cost, okay, what will you do now in control cost? So basically, seeing that, assuring that potential cost overruns do not exceed the authorized funding periodically and in total for the project. So example, so as I said, there's a funding limit, right? So we know that, okay, we can only use 1 crore from a project for this first quarter, right? Now we have to ensure that first quarter 1 crore we are able to get things done. Yeah, do not exceed the authorized funding periodically. Second is monitor cost performance and data and understand variances from the cost baseline. Again, as I said, in 50, when you are 50% on the project, okay, you're supposed to do 50% thing, okay, then the cost also should be done in 50%. For example, this was 500 features, yeah, and 12 months project, so 6 months you should be able to do the project with the project whole project is 12 crores. Yeah. Now, ideally 6 crores was the estimate of cost for this 50% of the features. Okay. Now you have spent 8 crores, means what? You have spent more and done less, right? Then you have to come back on track. Now, what is the two options? Only option is you can change the plan. Okay, maybe you are not able to achieve this in 12 crores, maybe a little more, or improve the performance. Now, going forward, you will do more productive work. Yeah, so you'll achieve the things in a lesser cost. Yeah, so control cost is basically again recording all appropriate changes accurately against the cost baseline. For example, as I said, the cost baseline was 12 crores, which was agreed by all the stakeholders. Now the customer and sponsor is saying finish this in 10 crores. Yeah, so now again baseline change, yes. Okay, major baseline, yes. Now what is the ways to do this? Again, cut down on cost, cut down on quality, maybe cut down on resources, extend the schedule. All these are the options. Okay, so preventing incorrect, inappropriate, or unapproved changes from being done in the project or resource usage. Okay, so remember, uncontrolled is a very bad word for us. Okay? Uncontrolled is a bad word for us. Now, if I see this control control cost also, okay, it's more or less the same thing as we saw the other control processes. For example, a control cost, again, what is control cost? So let us take the example. In 6 months, okay, you were supposed to do 50% of features in 6 crores. This was a plan. Okay, and you have seen that 50% of work you have done, but you have spent 8 crores, right? So what is the plan? 6 crores is a plan. Okay, this one baseline, and 8 crores is the data, performance data, which is the status or raw data from the data managed project work. Correct? So this is what you have spent. Correct? Is there a variance? 6 crores, 8 crores, yes, there is a variance. Okay, now what you have to do? See how much is the variance. Is the variance big? Yes. And then there is a change request. So what is the change request now? Change request can be to increase the whole budget, okay, from 12 crores to maybe 14 crores, something like this. Yeah, and it will go and update in the PMP plan. So once the change gets approved, it will go and update the PMP plan. Okay, and if it's a very small change, for example, again, the customer, you had decided with the all stakeholders that you will finish the project in 12 crores. Okay, now the customer is saying, okay, just do it, just try to save another 10 lakhs. Maybe it's not a very big amount compared relatively to the budget of the project, magnitude of the project, but some whatever small change also you have to update the PD. Okay, so you use project management information system to do this. For example, any software, any like our project management, project management software which we created in our organization. Once the resource puts the timesheet, okay, automatically it shows the cost and the work done also. Right, the work done you have to put it. Okay, what is the work done today? But total work done against what is the cost fund, you can easily get it from any software. Okay, MSP also will show you, or Primavera, as I said. Okay, a lot of softwares are there, and you may have your own customized software also in your organization. So whenever there is a variance, okay, between what was expected and what is the actual data, okay, then you do the basically the variance analysis. Okay, if the variance is more, obviously go for change. Also, it's also trend analysis. Okay, trend analysis is what? Trend analysis, that is that what is the trend in the last 3 months? What is the trend in the last 6 months? Is it always going up, going down, whatever? So and even trends show you some important thing. Again, the reserve analysis. What is reserve analysis? Basically, here reserve analysis means what is the risk remaining, what is the work risk remaining is versus what is the contingency reserve remaining. Contingency reserve remaining. Okay, so you just see that, okay, for if there's a risk of say 10 risks are there, every risk requires 1 lakh. Is the 10 lakh available for you in the budget or not? Okay, sometimes the risk can get added, so it will you have to correspondingly add this also. That's called reserve analysis. Now this is a very important and very interesting concept called EVM, okay, which is for cost forecasts. Okay, cost forecasting. So it requires another 1 hour. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll take this in the next session tomorrow. Hopefully other people also join them, and then today I think so we will stop here, okay, at the control cost only. Yeah, so that this important thing we'll take it tomorrow. Yeah, so any questions we can take it now, otherwise we'll call it a day and enjoy your weekend, and we'll meet tomorrow again 1:30, and then we'll continue on this EVM thing. Yeah, EVM, earned value management. Yeah, so any questions, please ask, otherwise we'll call it a day today.
We can, sorry, no questions.
Okay. Fine, fine, thanks. We are on mute and then you're speaking, I think so. No problem.
I know I was speaking and I was like, no, no, no questions. All is clear. And then I realized why is Tanvi not responding?
No problem. I understood that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So then enjoy the weekend and just go through the just go through the concept now. What do you mean by control? Maybe in
Yeah,
your our slides or in our whatever head first or in PIM. Okay. In the next 15-20 minutes, you can just browse that. The understanding will become deeper. Okay.
sure.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Kakesha. And then let's meet tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. IST. Okay. Bye.
Sure,
Bye
sure,
for
then.
now.
Thank you.